It was early in the morning in Konoha, the village hidden in the leaves. Most people were just waking up, and parents were preparing breakfast while their children were doing their usual morning routines and getting ready to go to school. This day was nothing less than normal. The sun was shining through the windows of Naruto Uzumaki as he groaned and sat up in his bed. "Just a few more minutes," he said as he laid his head back on his pillow. It had taken him only a couple of seconds to go back to sleep as he didn't get any last night, because he was both excitedly and anxiously waiting for this day to arrive. He was excited because he would finally graduate, but was anxious because he knew he had to perform a jutsu he sucked at, which was the clone jutsu. This jutsu was easy for everyone in his class except him, due to his exceptionally large chakra reserves. He was sound asleep in his bed, but that soon changed as his alarm clock started ringing. "Ah!" he shouted as he fell down from his bed and landed on the floor. "Ouch, my head. Yhhh. Today's the day I graduate," he said, remembering last night. He sprang up from the ground and went to get his favorite shinobi outfit, his orange jumpsuit. As he zipped his jumpsuit, he found himself in his kitchen opening his food cabinet and looking at his ramen. Naruto then decided to go with his favorite miso pork ramen, and he popped it into the microwave and waited a few minutes. After the microwave started beeping indicating that the ramen was finished, Naruto opened the microwave and was drooling as he got 2 chopsticks and slurped his ramen. He noticed that he was getting late and said, "This will have to do." Naruto exited his apartment and closed the door behind him, though he didn't bother to lock the door since no one ever visited him except the 3rd Hokage, who harbored no bad intentions. He walked through the familiar streets of Konoha with a grin plastered on his face, ignoring the bad looks and stares he was getting. When he reached the academy and went to his classroom door, he scowled as he noticed that the only 2 empty seats were next to his rival, Sasuke Uchiha. Sasuke is one of the 2 survivors of the famed Uchiha clan. He was a gem as described by many instructors. He was Konoha's golden soon-to-be shinobi. All the girls loved him, and he had everything handed to him, yet he remained a cold bastard with a frown on his face all the time, which was why Naruto hated him. He was the exact opposite of him. He walked up and sat in one of the empty chairs as Sasuke said, "HN." Naruto was about to insult him, but the poor guy was sent flying as he was punched by Sakura Haruno, Sasuke's #1 fangirl. She had long bubblegum-colored hair that reached mid-back. She was someone Naruto used to love, but gave up on her when she rejected him about 100 times. "Naruto Baka, I'm sitting next to Sasuke-kun." Ino Yamanaka, a girl with blonde hair tied into a ponytail. She was another Sasuke fangirl and Sakura's rival, then approached her and screamed, "Hey Billboard Brow, I'm the one who should be sitting next to Sasuke, not you." A war then started between the 2 of them as Naruto took the other seat now next to Sakura. "Man, you're so troublesome," said Shikamaru, a boy with pineapple-shaped hair who had a very, very high IQ, but was too lazy to really do anything. He never even finished his exams, just answered enough questions to get him a pass. All the girls in the class were now swooning over Sasuke with hearts in their eyes. Naruto put his head down on the table and sighed. "All right, class, take a seat," said Iruka as he entered with Mizuki next to him. "When I call your name, come to the testing room to perform the jutsu required." After 10 minutes, everyone in the class had passed and walked out with a headband, all except for Naruto, who was the final one to go since his last name started with a U. "Okay, Naruto, it's your turn now." Naruto walked into the testing room and closed his eyes as he focused. "All right, I can do this." Naruto brought his hands together and formed the ram hand seal. He tried focusing his chakra, and since he had very large reserves, at least Kage-level reserves in fact, the density of his chakra was so thick that it was easily seen and it threatened to destroy a piece of the ground. Naruto let out a cry as he said, "Bunshin no jutsu, clone jutsu." A loud poof was heard and smoke gathered but soon dissipated. Naruto opened his eyes but was too scared to look to his left because he feared that he failed. He didn't, however, need to look to his left as the look on Iruka and Mizuki's face said it all. "You fail," screamed Iruka as he looked at the pathetic clone Naruto made. "Come on, Iruka, I'm sure we can give him another chance," said Mizuki. As they started taking, Naruto was shocked and sad at the same time and paid no heed to his senseis. "I failed." Naruto walked past the headbands that he should have gotten as he glanced one last time at them. He then sat on the swing he normally sits on with nothing but despair written on his face. "Hey Mom, look what I got." "Wow, that's great, son." "Dad, I'm a ninja now." "I'm proud of you." "That boy, good thing he didn't graduate." "Yeah, I know what you mean, sister. What was the Hokage thinking letting someone like him get a shot at graduating?" "What am I? A monster?" "Hey Naruto," came a voice from behind. Naruto turned around as he saw Mizuki standing with his arms crossed, and he said, "Do you want to become a ninja?" It was the middle of the night in Konoha. People already went to sleep, and the village was very quiet. "Irika, Irika, quick, wake up." Irika went to open his door. "What is it, Mizuki? Don't you know that it's the middle of the night? I'm trying to sleep." No time to explain. Naruto stole the scroll of seals. He what? Chunin and Jonin alike gathered in a room for emergency meetings. The Hokage looked around and said, "Naruto has stolen the scroll of seals. I need all of you to find him and bring him back. If this scroll falls into the wrong hands, the village will collapse. It has tons of jutsu the first Hokage invented. Don't use unnecessary force." Everyone in the room gasped in shock at how the scroll was stolen by a mere kid. "How was the scroll stolen? Isn't it hidden safely and securely?" asked a Kunoichi. "It seems that Naruto managed to steal the scroll by waiting until it was nighttime and everyone was asleep," informed the third Hokage. The room then erupted into whispers, loud whispers in fact. "Enough. I want you to go now and find Naruto." When everyone quieted down, the Hokage gave the order to scatter. "I hope no one tries something unthinkable." Naruto stood in the middle of the forest panting as he unsealed the scroll. "If I can learn a jutsu from here, I'll graduate." Naruto giggled at the thought of becoming a ninja. "Okay, let's see what awesome new jutsu I can learn from this scroll. I bet it's something extremely amazing." "Ah," Naruto said as he tilted his head. "Taju Kage Bunshin no Jutsu? Oh man, not this again." As the shinobi jumped from building to building, the words of the third Hokage rang through their minds. Who knew what would happen with the scroll in the hands of a kid, especially the demon brat? All were ready for the worst except Mizuki, who was smiling. "That naive brat will give me the scroll, and I will learn all those ninjutsu and secrets. It's only a matter of time before I get that scroll." "Wolf, I nailed that stupid shadow clone jutsu," said Naruto with a grin. He looked around, as if expecting a Chunin or Jonin to pop up and take the scroll from him. "Well, I guess I have time for one more," said Naruto as he laid against a tree. He opened the scroll again and looked through the jutsu, and he noticed a sealing jutsu. The second jutsu, Hack Fuin no Jutsu, 8 trigram seal? Sounds boring. How about Chakura Ju, chakra gun? The description says, by focusing chakra into his hand, the first Hokage made a small ball of chakra, the size of a bullet, and shot it with deadly precision. It could easily go through metal, but it's only as fast as the average Chunin can throw kunai. This jutsu was created by the first Hokage, but was never used by anyone, not even him, because it was not perfected. However, when combined with Taju Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, it is really deadly. To perform this jutsu, Naruto continued reading until he understood how to do the jutsu, and then tried it out. After about 30 minutes, Naruto was found by Irika. "There you are, you fully dash." "Oh hey Irika-sensei, guess what? I learned 2 jutsu, but only managed to get the first one down. Although I'm halfway done with the second, I still didn't get it down. Now I can finally graduate, right?" "Well, what do you mean graduate?" "Well, that's what Mizuki-sensei told me. If I can learn a jutsu from the scroll, I'd graduate. He even told me where to find the scroll and all that stuff." Irika's eyes widened as he realized what was going on. He was just about to say something when he heard a sound from above and shoved Naruto down. A shower of kunai came out of the trees and impaled Irika in the leg and arms. The Chunin brother figure looked up and scowled. "I see you want to take the scroll for yourself." Naruto, who had been staring at Irika in shock, looked up to see Mizuki with a large grin on his face. "Mizuki-sensei, what are you doing? Why are you attacking Irika-sensei?" Naruto mumbled. Hearing his voice, the 2 Chunin turned their attention to Naruto. "Give me the scroll, Naruto," Mizuki ordered Naruto as he smirked. "No, Naruto, don't listen to him," Irika shouted. What's going on?" Naruto asked, unsure what he should do. "Mizuki used you. He wants the scroll for himself," Irika said. That scroll contains not only the first Hokage's but Konoha's secret and forbidden jutsu. He lied to you, so you would do his bidding, and he would simply take the scroll away from you. Oh, I'll tell you who's lying, Naruto, Mizuki said with a smirk as he looked at Iruka. Then back to Naruto. His life will be ruined now. Iruka looked over at Mizuki and saw the smirk on his face. It was then he realized what the white-haired Chunin instructor was going to say, and his eyes widened. No, Mizuki, don't say that. You know it's forbidden. Naruto looked at Iruka, then at Mizuki. I asked what's going on here? Who's lying? They've been lying to you your whole life. Ever since what happened 12 years ago. Mizuki looked at Naruto with a grin. 12 years ago. Naruto shook his head. I don't get it. No, Mizuki, don't. Haven't you ever wondered why were you hated? Mizuki questioned, making the blonde's eyes widen. Why you were ignored. Why people treated you like you were worthless. Like less than dirt. Mizuki, stop it now. Iruka shouted to no avail. I'll tell you why, Naruto, Mizuki sneered. You see, what they don't want you to know was that the Yondaime did not actually kill the Kyuubi. Instead, he sealed it away inside of a newborn baby. Naruto began to tremble. While he never paid attention and didn't like to study, he had never been dumb. Stupid? Maybe a little. But living on his own since he was 5 had forced him to develop a little faster than most. No, he was not the brightest person, but he did have a decent amount of common sense and a keen ability to read others, something that had helped him immensely in the past when he had run into several drunken villagers. He knew that Mizuki was telling him this for a reason, that the child who the Kyuubi was sealed into and he were in some way tied. Mizuki confirmed his theory a few seconds later. You are the child he sealed the Kyuubi into. You are the nine-tailed fox. Naruto slumped to his knees. Everything made sense to him now. The glares, the hatred, the people muttering behind his back, telling their children to stay away from him. A part of him was actually angry that he had not realized this. His birthday was the day of the Kyuubi's defeat. People hated him with a passion. The one time he went out during the Kyuubi festival because he wanted to celebrate his birthday, he had been beaten by a group of drunken villagers. All of it made sense. So, I am a demon then. Naruto was so caught up in his mixed emotions that he did not even see the giant Fuma shuriken heading his way. A second later, Naruto found himself staring into Iruka's teary face. He looked over to see a giant shuriken sticking out of his sensei's back. Why? Naruto asked, his voice cracking with emotion. Because we're the same, Iruka said with guilt lacing his words. I was just like you. Back when I was in the academy, I was so lonely, so I played the fool. I know what it's like to feel that kind of pain. It hurts, doesn't it? I'm so sorry, Naruto. I should have done more to help you. Ha ha ha. Mizuki laughed behind them. That's a good one, Iruka. But we both know you hate him more than anyone. After all, it was the demon who took your parents away. Naruto's eyes widened when he heard that. Naruto did the only thing he could do given what he was being told. He grabbed the scroll and ran. Naruto. Iruka's voice sounded after him. Naruto continued jumping through the trees as fast as he could to get away from the two Chunin. Naruto. Turning around, the blonde saw Iruka coming towards him. Naruto. Mizuki was lying. He was just saying that stuff to confuse you. The Chunin Academy teacher held out his hand. Give me the scroll so we can keep Mizuki from getting it. However, Naruto merely spun around and launched himself back at Iruka, smashing his head into the Chunin's gut. The two tumbled down the trees and onto the ground. How? Iruka questioned as he held onto his stomach. How did you know? There was a puff of smoke. That I wasn't Iruka? Asked the Mizuki. Naruto smirked. Because there was a puff of smoke. When it cleared, it revealed Iruka. I'm Iruka. Mizuki scowled. Why are you protecting that demon anyways? You know what he'll do now that he has his hands on the scroll. Naruto is just like me. He'll use the power that's inside the scroll to destroy Konoha. That's what demons are like. You're right, said Iruka, surprising Mizuki. That is what a demon would do. Naruto, who had taken to hiding behind a tree as he listened in, froze at those words. I see, he thought sadly. So Iruka only sees me as a demon too. But that's not what Naruto would do. Iruka's words caused Naruto and Mizuki to snap their attention back to him. Naruto is not the demon. He's my student and a proud ninja of Konoha. Sure, he may not always get things right, and he's a little. Well, he's really clumsy and doesn't act all that smart. But he's nothing like you. Naruto is a one-in-a-million kind of person, and I believe in him. Naruto went from depressed to elated. Iruka believed in him. For as long as he could remember, only the old man and a nice father/daughter couple at Ichiraka Ramen believed in him. Having another person who believed he could succeed was an elating feeling. You know, Irika, I was going to save you for later, but I've changed my mind. Mizuki sneered as he began spinning his shuriken on his arm as he got ready to launch it. Die! Just as Mizuki got ready to throw his Fuma shuriken at the Irika, a blonde and orange streak crashed into him, launching a foot into his face. The Chunin trader scowled as he landed several feet back, glaring at the person who had hit him. If you lay one hand on my sensei, I'll kill you, Naruto declared, giving his opponent a defiant glare. Huh, I'd like to see you try, demon, Mizuki shouted with an insane grin. Naruto put his hands in a ram hand seal and began amassing his chakra for another jutsu that he had seen in the scroll, Tajuu Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Both Irika and Mizuki gaped as hundreds if not thousands of Narutos appeared within the forest. They were everywhere, a literal sea of orange that almost blocked out all of the green of the forest. What's wrong, Mizuki team? I thought you were going to kick my ass, one of the clones shouted. Another cracked his knuckles. Well, if you're not coming to us, I guess we'll just go to you. The clones all jumped up and headed towards the terrified trader. Naruto decided not to try to attempt the other jutsu. He knew that the first one would be enough. He now had the scroll in his hands. Once he dispelled the clones, there was a lot of smoke around the area. At that moment, Naruto decided to rip a piece from the scroll so he could learn some more jutsu and prayed that no one would notice what he did. Naruto looked at Mizuki, who had many broken bones and a lot of bruises. Naruto, said Irika, limping up to Naruto with his right arm on his left and his right eye closed. I want you to close your eyes. Naruto closed his eyes and Irika gave him his headband. Congratulations, you pass, Irika said with a smile. Now let's go to Ichiraku's to celebrate. Naruto blinked twice, still processing what just happened. He then screamed, an ear-splitting scream. I did it. I'm a ninja. He jumped up into the air and punched the sky. Thank you, Irika. You may leave, Sarutobi said as Irika took Naruto to his office. It was late, and Irika and Naruto had just gone out for some ramen after a clone had given the third Hokage the Forbidden Scroll. However, he had wanted to talk to Naruto and make sure he was all right. Sure, Hokage-sama, Irika said. I'll see you in a week, Naruto. As Irika closed the door behind him, the third Hokage, Sarutobi, turned to look at Naruto. Naruto, he started, only to stop as Naruto launched himself at him, grabbing onto the old Hokage as he cried. Sarutobi was actually surprised. In all his years of knowing the blonde, he had only ever seen him cry once. The one time he had gone out to the Kyubi festival and gotten beaten by a group of drunk villagers. Sarutobi wrapped Naruto in a hug. Sorry, Gigi, Naruto said with a small hiccup. For what? Sarutobi asked. The scroll is back. You helped me root out a traitor and just became a genin. I got your robe wet. Naruto pointed at the small wet spot from his crying. The Sandaime looked down to see that his robes were indeed wet from Naruto's tears. Sarutobi held in a snort of amusement. Of all the things Naruto could be sorry for, it was for getting his robes wet. Gigi, Naruto said in an abnormally quiet voice. Is it true? What, Mizuki? Yes, Mizuki said. Sarutobi sighed. He had known this was coming at some point and had hoped to have some time to prepare for it. It is. So, I am a demon, Naruto said, looking down at the ground, tears forming in his eyes. Sarutobi grabbed Naruto by the shoulders, making the blonde look up at him. Naruto, I want you to listen carefully. You are not a demon. When the Yondaime sealed the Kyubi into you, he had made it his dying wish for you to be seen as a hero. A hero? Naruto questioned, getting a nod from Sarutobi. Why? Because Naruto, it is only thanks to you that the Kyubi is safely locked away. You are the entire reason that Konoha is still standing today, Sarutobi said. Really? Naruto asked, his voice a little hopeful. Yes, Sarutobi said. You are the hero of Konoha. Then, how come everyone hates me? The blonde asked. Sarutobi sighed. They don't hate you, Naruto. They just don't understand. Sealing, or Fuinjutsu as it's called, is one of the most obscure ninja arts there is, and the hardest to master. Very few people understand this. And so when something like a demon gets sealed into somebody, they are unsure whether the seal can really hold something like that, a being of such power in. You have to understand that when the Kyubi attacked, Many good ninja died that day, and because of that they are unwilling to accept you, fearing that you are really just the Kyuubi in human form. Naruto frowned. That made sense, in some sick and twisted way. But now that he knew why he was hated, he had to wonder what he should do. Would people be able to accept him? Could he get people to see past the Kyuubi and look at him as Naruto? At the moment, it didn't seem all that likely. After all, the people of Konoha had 12 years to get over their loss and see Naruto for himself. Then again, he had not really helped in that regard. He had been so desperate for attention that he had turned to pranks, since even bad attention was better than no attention. But maybe if I show them that how good a ninja I am, and that I'm willing to protect the village, maybe I can change their minds. Naruto thought to himself. He looked up at Sarutobi with determination. I'll show them that I'm not the Kyuubi, that I'm Uzumaki Naruto, future Hokage of Konoha. I won't let this get to me, ever. Databeo. Sarutobi smiled at seeing the boy's will of fire returning. That's good, Naruto-kun. I have no doubt you will eventually get there. However, it will require a lot more hard work than what you are used to. You won't be able to do your pranks anymore, and will have to actually take the time to learn about being a shinobi. After all, a Hokage is not just the most powerful ninja in the village, he is the smartest and most cunning as well. So then you're pretty smart, Ha'ajisen, Naruto said. Sarutobi chuckled a bit. Naruto-kun, do you know why I earned my nickname of Professor? Naruto scratched the back of his head. Because you're smart. Well, essentially yes, Sarutobi admitted. However, it is much more than that. I earned the title of Professor because of my ability to read people and react to any given situation both on and off the battlefield. In the many years that I have lived, I have amassed much knowledge from reading books. Things that taught me about shinobi basics, to the more advanced ninja abilities and theories, as well as knowledge on civilian practices like politics, which has become essential for every Hokage to know now. He took a minute to curse the Nidame's decision to create the council, the whole reason a Hokage needed to know politics. He had been told by his sensei, Senju Tobirima, before the Second Shinobi War started that he was 100% positive he had been drunk when he came up with the idea. It looked good on paper, having a group of people dedicated to helping the Hokage deal with the everyday affairs of Konoha civilians. However, the reality was far different. Sarutobi had spent more time fighting with the council than anything, and many of the people in it, especially on the civilian side, were extraordinarily greedy, always wanting more money and to line their pockets with more coin. The old Hokage shook his head and banished the thought. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that to be a good shinobi requires you to be not just strong, but also smart. I guess that makes sense. Naruto tilted his head for a moment before remembering something. Oh yeah, speaking of being strong, you know that awesome jutsu I learned. The Kage Bunshin? Yes, I know it, Sarutobi said, wondering where the blonde was going with this. Yeah, well, I felt like something weird happened when the clone's dispelled. Whenever a clone is dispelled, whether on purpose, by accident, or running out of chakra, all of its memories are given to the person who created them. Like when I created those 10 in the forest and saw 10 different sides of myself and my clones. Naruto mumbled to himself, though Sarutobi still heard it. Yes, the jutsu is a powerful technique that way, Sarutobi said. Naruto looked up and tilted his head in curiosity. How so? Sarutobi tapped his chin. Well, originally the clones were created because they were the perfect spying tools. You could have one of your clones infiltrate a base without any danger to the original, and when they dispelled, they would give a complete layout of the base. So it's used to memorize things? Asked Naruto, scratching the back of his head. Sarutobi nodded, yes. However, the Kage Bunshin can be used for more than just memorization, Naruto-kun. In fact, that jutsu is an excellent method to learn new things with. You can learn just about anything from your clones, from chakra control and jutsu, to the books you read, writing, and even taijutsu, since muscle memory is a mental faculty. That sounds almost like it can be used for training, Naruto exclaimed, excited by the prospect of what he could get his clones to do. The old Hokage nodded. It can indeed be used for training, though I suspect that only you will be able to use this jutsu to its full potential. Why is that? Asked Naruto, excited at the prospect that there was something only he could do. Because you're the only one who has enough chakra reserves to summon enough clones to really make the training worth it. Most ninja, even jonin, can only make 5, maybe 10 clones if they're lucky, Sarutobi answered. Huh. I made nearly 1,000 in the clearing when I beat the crap out of Mizuki team. Naruto said. That you did, Sarutobi chuckled at the boy's enthusiasm. But it will take more than spamming out clones to become a great ninja. You will have to train hard and actually be serious about your profession. Naruto thumped his chest. Don't you worry, old man. I'll train harder than everybody in Konoha. I'll become not only the most powerful Hokage ever, but the strongest shinobi in the elemental nations. That's my promise of a lifetime. Believe it. I'm sure you will, Naruto, Sarutobi chuckled. And to help, I have some advice for you. But before I tell you what it is, I want you to promise me you will listen to everything I have to say and follow the advice I give you to the letter. Naruto grinned as he thumped his chest. Don't worry, old man. I promise on my honor as the future Hokage of Konoha that I will listen to what you have to say and follow your advice. Believe it. Sarutobi smiled before he began. Very well then. Now since you are a shinobi, you will have access to the ninja section of the library. There you will find scrolls on chakra theory and control, ninja basics, and I think they even have a few books on Jutsu if you're interested. Though I would also suggest reading books on things like politics and other civilian practices. If you're going to be Hokage, you will need to know these things. I want you to start off by finding books on basic chakra control and theory, as well as a taijutsu style that will suit you if the basic style does not. I know you do not want to hear this, but the basic principles are the most important aspects of being a shinobi. Without them, you cannot grow because you do not have the essential steps necessary to advance in skill. Sarutobi looked at Naruto. Promise me you will do this. Naruto nodded, for once actually paying attention to what he was being told. You got it, old man. I promise. First thing tomorrow morning, I will go to the library and look up that information. Naruto frowned for a moment. Though, I don't know if they'll let me in. The third Hokage frowned. He knew that a lot of places did allow Naruto entrance, like many of the shops and restaurants. Thankfully, the library, unlike the shops and restaurants, was government-owned, meaning he was the only one who could bar someone in trance. If they try to bar you entrance, just tell them barring entrance to a shinobi is illegal, and that if they try they can take it up with me. Also, might I suggest some new clothes? New clothes? What's wrong with these clothes? Asked Naruto. He liked these clothes. They were orange and warm and comfortable. Naruto, I know you like the color orange. However, it is not a good color for a shinobi. Sarutobi said, when you are out on a mission, those clothes will stick out like a sore thumb, and a ninja is supposed to blend in. Deciding to add some incentive, Sarutobi added another thing. Besides, if you wear clothes that are more shinobi-like, it will add a powerful and mysterious image to you, making people recognize how powerful of a ninja you are. That seemed to get Naruto hooked. I'll do it, old man. He frowned for a moment as he remembered when he had tried buying other clothes a few times. However, he had always been kicked out of the stores before he could even take a look at the clothing selection. Good. Sarutobi smiled. Now you have a whole week to get stronger before you get your Jonin Sensei assigned. The Sandaime said, I suggest you use this time to catch up with the rest of your class. With Kage Bunshin, you should be able to get a decent level of knowledge and learn the basics. Now it's getting late, so why don't you get to bed? That way you can start getting stronger early tomorrow. Right, Naruto shouted enthusiastically. I'll see you later, old man. Sarutobi watched as Naruto left. With the knowledge of that jutsu, he should be able to grow strong. Sarutobi looked at a picture of Minato. Your son is on the path to being a great shinobi, Minato. Chapter 2. The next morning, Naruto woke up feeling dirty. Last night, he was so tired he didn't even bother to take a shower and just went to sleep, leaving him a dirty and sweaty ball of mess. Naruto sat up in his bed as he turned to face the bathroom with a tired expression on his face. He got down from his bed and walked to the bathroom, grumbling as he took his clothes off on his way there. When he reached the shower, he sighed as he turned the handle sideways, and the water rained down on him from above. The water was cold, just like always. His landlord cut off the hot water from his apartment on purpose, even during the winter. Naruto just shrugged as he let the water soak him, and after about a solid 20 minutes, he came out of the shower looking really fresh and clean with a towel wrapped around him. He went over to his closet and took out a clean orange jumpsuit and put it on. Naruto then went to the kitchen and ate his usual ramen. There's nothing like some good old ramen. He put his fourth ramen cup down and headed for the door. I should get some new clothes, but I want to visit the library first. After walking for a bit, he reached a huge building and started inspecting it closely, looking from the top to the bottom. He tapped his chin in deep thought. How should I do this? The people who own the library won't let me in like this. Naruto finally decided on what to do as he jumped on top of the building and created 30 shadow clones. Okay, everyone, here's what I want you to do. I need 15 of you to transform into civilians, while the other 15 will transform into shinobi. Those who transform into civilians will go to the civilian section and pick useful books to read, and the ones who transformed into shinobi will do the same thing, but in the shinobi section. Every 2 minutes, someone new will enter. In 1 hour, everyone should be in the library reading a book. When you're done, exit the library and dispel. Not all at once, though. Dispel in groups of 2. After everyone divided themselves into shinobi and civilians and transformed, the real Naruto jumped down and headed for a shinobi shop to pick new clothes. Once he reached a shop that looked like it had everything he needed, Naruto went to the side where no one could see him and transformed into a genin with red hair, green eyes, and blue shinobi clothes. Nevertheless, he remained the same height and weight. He entered the shop and greeted the lady who he thought owned the store. She was maybe 50 years old and was really, really fat. Hello, I'm looking for some shinobi equipment. I can see that, said the lady as she snickered. Naruto resisted the urge to punch her in the face, so he grit his teeth instead. He calmed down and looked around until he saw black shinobi pants and thought that he would try them on. He took them and went to a dressing room and tried them on and judged that they fit perfectly. He kept them on and went to buy a normal kunai leg holster which was put on the right side of his right thigh. He then went to find an appropriate shinobi shirt. He started walking around until he stopped and looked at a shirt he thought looked appealing. It was all black, but had a yellow line running through it. This will do perfectly. He then bought fingerless gloves with metal plating. He also bought black shinobi sandals and went over to the fat lady. Hey, I want a new headband. Make it black too. Once he was done, Naruto looked at himself and grinned excitedly. He bought 4 more pairs of the exact same stuff and was ready to go. He paid for everything and then looked at the lady and smirked uncontrollably. After about 5 seconds, he raised 2 fingers to his head and saluted her, saying, Naruto, Uzumaki out. Smoke filled the shop as Naruto transformed back and grinned at the lady and enjoyed every second of her shocked and angry face. After all, she just sold her precious stuff to the demon brat. As Naruto exited the shop and left behind the dumbfounded lady, his clones started to dispel. He was shocked at the knowledge that he suddenly gained and smiled as he knew what he was going to do next. Time to train. Naruto then headed to the training field. He had summoned around 100 clones to help him and had them divided into groups of 25. The first group was working on chakra control. From what Naruto's clones had read, the whole reason he could not do a standard clone was because he had extremely large reserves and next to no control. At least, that was the theory he had come up with from what he read. So he would need to fix that by getting better control. Right now, they were working on the leaf floating exercise, the first and most basic exercise. It was basically floating a leaf over the palm of their hands and making it spin. It was just in one hand at the moment, but Naruto eventually planned on increasing the amount of leaves that he could spin, figuring that the more leaves he could float at the same time, the better his control would be. It was not in the scroll he had read, but Naruto had always been innovative when coming up with pranks, and that ability was easily carried on into other aspects of his life and career if he actually set his mind to it. He wanted to at some point be able to spin a leaf on each finger at the same time, rather than using his palms before he moved on to tree climbing, which was the next exercise he saw when he had skipped to the intermediate chakra control book just to see what it held, of course. Another group of clones was working on his taijutsu. In the academy, he had been told the wrong stances by Mizuki, who had been in charge of the taijutsu lessons, and so he really had no style, fighting more like a brawler than anything. He had originally grabbed a scroll on the basic academy taijutsu style. However, he soon found that even with how simple they were, the style simply didn't fit him for some reason. It was odd because he had only started working on it today, but for some reason it felt wrong was the best way he could describe it. Like his body type just didn't have what the style called for, or maybe that his mindset did not work for it. Whatever the case, the style did not work, and he had to find another one. Thankfully, his clones had found several other styles that they felt would be useful. He planned to learn them all so that he could find out which style would work best, and eventually, combine the styles into something that he could call his own style, which would be totally awesome. One of the things his clones had read lead to his decision to eventually create his own style was the knowledge that most shinobi stick with one style that suited them, and only one style. But Naruto had read from one of the basic scrolls that certain styles worked better against other styles. Like the Uchiha clan's fighting style worked well against most styles, but was particularly good against styles that relied on taijutsu techniques that they could copy and use against their opponents. But it was susceptible to styles that relied on being faster than your opponent, and styles that relied on unpredictable and untelegraphed movement. He figured that with the Kagebushin he could learn them all, even if he was not proficient with them, and turn them into something better. Right now he was learning a style called Shin Tao, a style that relied on stand-up striking along with various clincher techniques. The taijutsu was also known as the art of the 8 legs because it relied on punches, kicks, knee strikes, and elbow strikes rather than just fist and feet. So far this style was the one he was most comfortable with, since it was a more of a straightforward style and Naruto was always a bit of a brawler. Once he got this style down, he would start building his own around this one once he started adding other styles to it. His last group was divided into two. One group was reading. Most of it was on chakra theory, the use of hand seals, trap making, sealing jutsu, and various other shinobi aspects. All of them were beginner books written to teach the basics. The other group was working his handwriting and art. Naruto had decided that he was going to be better than all the Hokages in sealing jutsu, and had figured that surpassing the Yondaime in what he was best known for would be the best way to show how awesome he really was. The first thing Naruto had learned about the complex art of sealing was that it required a steady hand and absolutely perfect brush strokes. One wrong mark on a seal, and the results could be explosive. This meant he had to work on his handwriting, because even if he did not want to admit it, his handwriting sucked. So Naruto had been forced to delegate a group of clones to getting better handwriting. It was a basic skill he needed to learn, and while it sucked, he remembered Sarutobi's advice about basics being the fundamental stepping stone into more advanced stuff. At least he was pretty sure that was what he had said. The man had talked so much when he had been giving advice that Naruto was not sure he got it all. Meanwhile, Naruto himself worked on the physical aspects of his training. He would start off with laps around the training field he had chosen, Training Ground 43, a training ground right next to the Forest of Death. Not that he knew that, since it was completely secluded. He was currently doing 20 laps around the training ground, with his added weights which were at 20 pounds for his wrist bracers and 30 pounds for his legs. Even he got tired. He planned on increasing the amount of laps he could do within 1 hour to increase his speed. He also did 50 push-ups, 50 sit-ups, 50 pull-ups on one of the trees, 100 squats, 100 log punches with each fist, and 100 kicks with each leg. Naruto found himself laying on the ground as he panted, exhaustion actually setting in. It was an odd feeling, he reflected. Naruto had never really felt tired before, something he was beginning to suspect he got from the Kyuubi. Oh sure, sometimes he could get sleepy, but never from lack of energy. Right now he was really exhausted. With a sigh, Naruto sat up. He was done with his morning workout, but he still had half a day left. Turning to his clones, Naruto gave the order to dispel. After the clones dispelled, Naruto could do nothing but faint. Naruto woke up during the night and was still on the ground. Oh man, that was way too intense for my liking. It's already night. He turned around and laid on his back as he looked at the stars, spreading his hands and legs out. He sighed as he started thinking about his past, and he felt his face become red. I'm a new person now, he said as he walked away to his apartment. The very next day, Naruto did the same morning routine. He had 30 clones read in the library while he went to the training ground. He had been thinking about his training and wanted to intensify it, although he passed out from exhaustion yesterday. Today, he created 150 clones and divided them into 3 groups, each containing 50 clones. The first group started a different exercise in chakra control. One of Naruto's clones read that tree climbing is a very good chakra control exercise that genin undertake usually after graduation. The second group practiced the taijutsu-style Shin Tao by sparring with each other. Naruto had made some of the clones a bit stronger by adding 1% more chakra into them, but since they know the exact same moves, a victor was unlikely. The third group practiced sealing jutsu. Naruto had each one take a scroll and begin practicing handwriting. Anyone who does a mistake has to do 100 push-ups and then continue writing. Meanwhile, Naruto was thinking about what he would do. Yesterday, he worked on the physical aspects of his training, so today, he wanted to practice the second jutsu he got from the scroll. Thank goodness I kept this piece of paper with me. Naruto took the piece of paper he tore from the scroll and looked at it carefully. Since I now know what this 8 trigram jutsu is, I'll let my clones practice it once they are done with practicing their handwriting. Now, I really want to practice Chakura-ju. Okay then, Chakura-ju it is, he said enthusiastically. Naruto then started by focusing his chakra to one small point in the palm of his hand. In the center of his hand, a ball of chakra started to form. It kept getting bigger until it reached the size of a bullet. Then, slowly but surely, Naruto turned around and shot the ball of chakra at one of the logs in the training field. This was, however, a massive fail. The chakra ball did indeed completely demolish the log, but Naruto was sent flying in the other direction and didn't stop until he began to lose speed and finally skid across the field. About 10 cloned poofed out of existence, and their memories became Naruto's. Naruto then tried to pick himself up only to fall to the ground again. He tried again. This time, he managed to stand up, but then fell onto his right knee. Naruto grabbed his left leg and grunted as he stood up once again. Damn, I can see now why this is an incomplete jutsu, said Naruto in between breaths as he looked at the now destroyed log. Okay, let's try this again, more gentle this time. The exact same thing happened, and Naruto picked himself up again. Damn it, I hate this jutsu. Why does it have to be this hard to master? Alright, you piece of crap. I'll show you who the master around here is, said Naruto as he pointed to another log. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. 10 clones appeared behind Naruto, and they held him from behind. Naruto began to focus chakra, a lot of chakra into the palm of his hand, and he reared it back so far and finally, he shot it forward, and it kept going until it not only destroyed the first log, but the second one as well. Naruto was sent flying, but instead of flying through the air, he flew into his clone's arms. 2 clones dispelled as the force of Naruto's back striking against their hands was too great. 3 more dispelled as Naruto continued flying, but at a much slower pace. 3 more were gone, and only 2 remained. The first one pushed Naruto forward, causing him to slow down a bit, but he dispelled 2. The final one focused chakra to his hands and pressed them against the real Naruto's back, causing him to stop dead in his tracks, but he also dispelled. Haha, I did it, said Naruto, panting as if he had just gone to the moon and back until finally he fainted. Naruto continued his training for 4 more days, each time increasing the shadow clones by 10. Naruto was now high Genin to mid Chunin in Taijutsu, mid Chunin in Ninjutsu, and high Genin in Sealing Jutsu, low Genin in Jinjutsu, which he had very little talent in. He had gotten really fit during the past week, and when it came to book smarts and such, he was only an average Genin, although he did have a very high IQ. Tomorrow would be the day the teams are assigned, and he was really looking forward to it. Naruto thought that since this was the last day he had before being in a Genin team, he thought that he would take it easy. He made 50 clones to go train however they want while he went to look around the village. With his hands behind his head, Naruto made his way through Konoha. He stopped when he reached a dango restaurant and stepped in. I hope the people here don't judge me like all the other bastards. Naruto looked around and saw that he was the only customer there. He found and sat on a table and ordered some dango. Might as well try them out. When his order arrived, he started chowing down on his food. Out of the corner of his eyes came a woman with bluish-black hair tied into a pineapple shape, which reminded Naruto of Shikamaru. She had fishnets under a brown coat, whose sides didn't meet. She then went up to order something. I want the usual order of dango, she said. I'm sorry, Anko, but we just made the last order. There aren't any left. The lady whose name was revealed to be Anko looked around with an angry expression on her face. It seemed as though she was looking for the person who ate her precious dango. When she noticed that the only person in the restaurant was indeed Naruto, she approached him with so much killer intent leaking that she frightened the waitress. Naruto noticed Anko was coming in his direction and couldn't help but look at her wonderful bosom. He then, however, felt her killer intent and was frightened too. Shishu, old hag, calm down. That didn't seem to help as Anko leaked even more killing intent, frightening Naruto, and followed him as he exited the shop with some money on his table. I'm sorry, lady, I'm sorry. Geez, what did I do? Screamed Naruto as he ran through the village to training ground 43. It's too late for sorry, kid. You're getting what you deserve for eating my dango. Your dango? I was the one who ordered dash. Naruto never got to finish as snakes wrapped around his waist. What? When did she? On my abdomen, he screamed as they squeezed him even more. Anko then came up from behind, looking at Naruto. They were now in training ground 43. Look, I'm sorry for calling you a hag, but I'm definitely not sorry for eating dango. Now can you order these snakes to back off? The snakes disappeared into puffs of smoke and Naruto fell down onto his butt. Now that's over, my name is Naruto. Nice to meet you. You got nerve, kid, calling a jonin like me a hag. So you're a jonin, huh? Well then, will you train me? What's in it for me? Oh, nothing. You'll just be able to say you trained a Hokage. Alright, fine. Meet me in the Forest of Death in an hour. It was nighttime and Naruto was taking a shower. He had bruises and cuts, a swollen eye, and was limping. His training with Anko, if you can call it training, left him in such a poor state. Nevertheless, he was healed magically by the QB. He took out a pair of pajamas and went to sleep. He knew he had to buy some new pajamas since thanks to puberty, the QB, and his training, he had gotten 6 centimeters taller, now standing at 1 meter 56. He had to get enough sleep because tomorrow was the exciting day, the day he would be put into a team. Chapter 3. The next morning Naruto woke up without a single scratch on him. He jumped out of bed and did everything he needed to start the day. Naruto exited his house and walked down the streets of Konoha with an enthusiastic smile, missing the whispers that were heard all around him. Today is the day my journey as a ninja starts. I wonder which sensei I'll be stuck with. When Naruto reached the academy class, he saw again that the only empty seat was next to Sasuke. Hey bastard Kuin, mocked Naruto. HN, said Sasuke as he eyed Naruto and noticed his new look. Hey Naruto, what are you doing here? Only those who graduated should be here. And what's with the new look anyway? Asked Shikamaru. Are you blind or something? Can't you see this headband? Asked Naruto as he pointed to his forehead with a look of annoyance on his face. I also decided to go with some new clothes. Just then, Ino Yamanaka and Sakura Haruno stepped through the door, both screaming. I won. They started arguing about who came into the classroom first as Naruto sighed. Talk about deja vu. Just then Naruto got shoved away by Sakura as she sat next to Sasuke, angering many Sasuke fans. Naruto's face lit up as Irika entered the class. Good morning, class. From this day on, you will no longer be students of the academy, but full-fledged shinobi, lowest of the low. Your greatest challenges lie ahead. We will begin by dividing you into 3-man cells with a Jonin sensei. Team 7 will be Naruto Uzumaki, Sakura Haruno, and Sasuke Uchiha. Cha, take that Ino pig. I'm on Sasuke-kun's team, thought inner Sakura as Sakura turned around and gave Ino a victory sign. Why did I get stuck with Sasuke team? Your Jonin sensei will be Kakashi Hatake, continued Irika. Team 8 will be Hinata Hyuga, Kiba Inuzuka, and Shino Aburame. Your Jonin sensei is Yuhi Kurenai. Hinata, a shy girl that has a crush on Naruto, looked at him, and he smiled at her, causing Hinata to blush. Finally, Team 10 will be Ino Yamanaka, Shikamaru Nara, and Choji Akimichi. Your Jonin sensei is Asuma Sarutobi. Ino put her head down on her desk as she sighed, while Shikamaru smirked and Choji, the chubby Akimichi, kept eating. Darn it, Sakura and her forehead got the best team. She got Sasuke-kun and Naruto, who looks kinda cool with his new clothes, but he hardly matters anyway. You will wait for your senseis here after lunch, but until then, class dismissed. Maybe I should go ask Sakura and Sasuke out for lunch. We'll get to know each other better then. Actually, Sakura will say no, and I probably won't be able to find Sasuke. Guess I should go see Anko and ask her about my sensei. Naruto got down from the academy roof as he headed for the Dango restaurant, somewhere he knew Anko would be. On his way there, he bumped into a kid and knocked him down. The kid was wearing a blue scarf with a pale yellow shirt and gray pants. He also wore a weird helmet of some sort. Hey, watch it, he screamed. That's no way to treat the future Hokage, believe it, said Naruto with a grin on his face and his hands behind his head. Before the kid could say anything, a loud voice was heard. Honorable grandson, there you are. The kid rolled his eyes, which didn't go unnoticed by Naruto. The kid and the shinobi, who was wearing a blackish-gray outfit and a shinobi headband that covered his forehead and hair, started arguing. Naruto then used this time to escape. That was weird, thought Naruto as he entered the Dango restaurant. Inside the restaurant was a widely grinning Anko eating a stick of dango, her 5th stick of dango. Now that hit the spot. Hey, Anko, greeted Naruto with a smile as he sat next to her. So what are you doing here, kid? Need something? Actually, yeah, I just got put into a team, believe it. And I came here to ask you about my sensei. Oh, and who is your sensei? She asked curiously. I think his name is, what was it again? Kakashi Hat Cake. At this, Anko laughed, adding to Naruto's confusion. So you got stuck with him, huh? Yeah, you sound like it's a bad thing, asked Naruto. Oh well, you'll see when you meet him. Oh come on, just tell me, said Naruto with puppy eyes. You know that won't work on me, said Anko, who got the same look yesterday from Naruto when he asked her to train him. Fine, I'll tell you. First, he's super lazy. Second, he's never on time. He's always at least 1 or 2 hours late. He also has his dirty porn books that he keeps reading. Sounds like an interesting guy, I guess. And on that note, Naruto said goodbye and went back to the academy. On his way there, he noticed someone was trying to hide from him using cheap camouflage. All right, come out, I know you're there, said Naruto as he looked at the wall with his arms crossed. Just what I expected from my mentor and greatest rival, said the wall, as he removed the fake camouflage, revealing the kid that Naruto met a few minutes ago. Mentor and rival? I just met you 10 minutes ago, exclaimed Naruto as he pointed to the kid. Well, you are my mentor and rival now, so will you train me, boss? Said the kid. First, what's your name? My name is Konohamaru, the soon-to-be 5th Hokage. You know being a Hokage is pretty hard, right? Yeah, that's why I want you to train me. Naruto tapped his chin as he thought about it. Anko did say my sensei would be late, so why not? All right then, I decided to train you. Your first training lesson is to follow me. Before Konohamaru could even celebrate, Naruto took off. Naruto reached training ground 43 quickly and waited for Konohamaru to arrive by doing push-ups. After Naruto did about 20 push-ups, Konohamaru arrived, panting heavily. Took you long enough. So what next? Said Konohamaru in between short breaks of breath. Well, I want to test you, transform into me. After looking closely at Naruto, Konohamaru said, All right, Hinge no Jutsu, said Konohamaru as he transformed into a fat Naruto, which made Naruto facepalm. So how did I do? Asked Konohamaru as he transformed back into his original form. You did it wrong, Konohamaru. I'm not an Akimichi. Sorry. After about 30 minutes of transforming into Naruto and back, Konohamaru got the transformation jutsu down. All right, that's step 1 of your transformation jutsu exercise. Now that you won't embarrass yourself, we'll move on to step 2, said Naruto as he rubbed his hands together and grinned. You better get this step right from the first time, or you'll really get hurt. Naruto grinned as he headed back to the academy with his arms behind his head, remembering what just happened a few minutes ago. Step 2 was basically to transform into a female, go inside the girls' locker room, stay there for at least a minute, then come out safe and sound. Konohamaru failed. He transformed into a female and entered the locker room but tripped, canceling the transformation and reverting back to good old Konohamaru. What happened next was predictable. Grandson of the 3rd Hokage or not. When he entered the classroom, only Sasuke and Sakura were there. You're late, screamed Sakura as Naruto entered the classroom, /. Relax, our sensei won't be here for quite some time. And how did you know that? Asked Sakura. I know someone that knows our sensei, said Naruto, causing Sasuke to eye him suspiciously, which made Naruto smirk. Naruto then opened the door slightly and put an eraser on top of it. What are you doing? Asked Sakura. I'm planning a prank on him. That's what he gets for being late. You were late too, you know, said Sakura. Cha, go get him, screamed inner Sakura in Sakura's head. He's a jonin. He won't fall for that old trick, said Sasuke, finally speaking up. Yes, Sasuke's right. Naruto smirked and said, just watch and learn. After around 30 minutes, Kakashi came through the door. The eraser prank, huh? Brings back memories, right, Obito? The eraser fell on top of Kakashi's head, making Naruto burst out laughing. I'm sorry, sensei. This was all Naruto's idea. Me and Sasuke-kun had nothing to do with it. He fell for that simple prank, yet he's a jonin, thought Sasuke. Let's see, said Kakashi as he tapped his chin. My first impression of you guys is, I hate you all. Meet me at the roof of the academy, said Kakashi before he shunshined to the roof. When all of Team 7 was on the roof, Kakashi said, So, tell me about you guys, what you like, hate, your dreams and hobbies. Well, since we already know a little bit about each other and nothing about you, how about you go first? Suggested Naruto. Kakashi looked over at the blonde before shrugging and then saying in a lazy tone, "Sure, I don't see why not. Let's see, my name is Hitaki Kakashi, my likes. I don't feel like telling you that dislikes are none of your business. Dreams for the future. Well, I have lots of hobbies." Anko really was right about this guy, thought Naruto. "Why don't you go next, Blondie?" said Kakashi. "Well, all right then. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I like ramen and training. I dislike arrogant and ignorant fools." Naruto then took his time to think about his landlord, as well as the 3 minutes it takes to cook ramen. "My hobbies include training and, well, that's it for now, I guess." Naruto rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. "And my dream is to become the greatest Hokage the world has ever known." He isn't like what the reports say. I thought he would be really loud, obnoxious, and annoying. It seems that the incident with Mizuki changed him for the better. Kakashi put his thoughts on the back of his head for now as he pointed to Sakura. "All right, Pinky, you're next." Sakura scowled at being called Pinky but answered anyways. "My name is Sakura Haruno. What I mean the person I like is." She looked over at Sasuke and blushed. "My hobbies are." She looked over at Sasuke, blushed, and giggled. "And my dream for the future." She looked over at Sasuke, blushed, and squealed. Kakashi and Naruto both sweat dropped. "This is great. I've got a fangirl." Kakashi sighed to himself. "Is there anything you don't like?" he asked. "Naruto baka," Sakura screeched. Naruto winced at the volume of her voice before sighing as he realized that kind of answer was to be expected. "What else is new?" he mumbled under his breath. "All right then. You, the broody one, you're next." Sasuke scowled, but otherwise did not rise to his sensei's remarks. "My name is Sasuke Uchiha. I don't particularly like anything, and I dislike too many things to name. What I have is not a dream, because I will make it a reality. I'm going to restore my clan and kill a certain someone." As Sasuke finished his speech, the people around him had varying reaction. "Oh man, Sasuke-kun is so cool." Sakura squealed in delight. "Cha, he's so hot." Inner Sakura thought. "So he wants to kill someone," Naruto thought to himself. "I wonder who it is." "It's just as I thought," Kakashi sighed. He had figured that this was how Sasuke would be. "I can only hope that he'll change." "Good," he said out loud, keeping his lazy expression and not letting a hint of his thoughts leave him. "You've all got your own opinions, and you're all unique." He nodded to himself. "Now tomorrow we will have our first mission as a team." "What kind of mission?" asked Naruto, eager to finally prove he could be a great ninja. "Are we going to be fighting some missing ninja? Or maybe we'll have to protect a princess?" "Calm down, Naruto." Kakashi spoke in a lazy voice. When the blonde finally stilled, he spoke again. "Our task will involve just the 4 of us. A survival exercise." However, Naruto had narrowed his eyes as he looked at Kakashi with a thoughtful frown. Now that surprised Kakashi. "A survival exercise?" Sakura questioned. "This isn't going to be some simple exercise. This is nothing like your training at the academy," Kakashi stated with a smirk, not that his soon-to-be students could see it. "This exercise has a 66% chance of failure." Sakura gasped and Sasuke's eyes widened slightly in surprise while Naruto was excited to test his newfound strength. "Wait, what kind of training is this?" asked Naruto, causing Kakashi to laugh. "This is the final test before you truly become Genin. Out of the 27 graduates who came here, only 9 will be accepted as Genin. The other 18 will be weeded out and sent back to the academy. In other words, this is a make-it-or-break-it pass-fail test. And like I said, it has at least a 66% chance of failure." "Wow. Well then, what was the graduation exam for anyway?" asked Naruto. "Oh, that was just to select those who could become Genin. Now I want you to be at the designated training spot by 5 a.m. and bring your shinobi gear." "Well, I'm not going to be weeded out. I'm going to be Hokage one day," thought Naruto as he looked at his hand and clenched his fist. "If I fail, I'll be separated from Sasuke-kun. This is a trial of love." Sasuke squeezed his hands together because he knew that he couldn't fail for the sake of restoring his clan. "Oh, I almost forgot. Don't eat breakfast or you might throw up. For now, that's it. You're dismissed." Naruto went to sleep thinking about what his sensei said. Why did he tell us not to eat breakfast? One of my clones read that ninja absolutely have to eat all 3 meals. Throwing up? Seriously? Maybe he's underestimating us. I'll show him. I'll definitely eat breakfast. Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke all gathered at the training ground at 5 a.m. and waited for their sensei. Naruto sat under the shade of a tree and Sakura sat on the ground, while Sasuke kept standing with his arms crossed and closed. After 2 hours, Kakashi arrived. Sakura looked at him irritated with a vein on her forehead and pointed at him. Hey, you're late. Well, you see, a black cat crossed my path, so I had to take the long way to the training ground. Kakashi gave himself a mental pat on the back for thinking of such a good excuse. Kakashi then set an alarm clock and took out a pair of bells. There, now it's set for noon. Kakashi moved the pair of bells and said, Your assignment is simple. You have to take those bells away from me by noon. That's all. If you can't get a bell by noon, then you will be tied to these training logs and will watch me eat lunch in front of you. So that's why he told us not to eat lunch, thought Sakura, while Sasuke thought the same thing. Naruto smirked, giving himself a mental thumbs up, which all went unnoticed by the rest of his team. Sakura gasped as she realized something. Wait a minute, there are 2 bells and 3 of us. Why? Well, one of you will ultimately get disqualified, while the others may pass. The one that doesn't get a bell and is disqualified will go back to the academy. You can use anything, shuriken and kunai. But sensei, these weapons are dangerous. When I say start, you can begin. Ready and start. When the Team 7 sensei gave the word to start, 2 of Team 7 hid in the trees. They have hidden themselves quite nicely, I must say, thought Kakashi, but then he saw Naruto. Naruto grinned and pointed a finger at Kakashi. You and me, fair and square, right now. Kakashi tilted his head as he looked at Naruto confused. You know, compared to the others, you're quite different. Just as Kakashi said that, 20 or so clones jumped out of the trees. Naruto smirked as he knew that his teammates would be surprised and began observing his clones' attacks and his sensei's responses to them. Kakashi's sweat dropped. When did he hide all those clones in the tree? Better yet, these are solid clones. I didn't even get the chance to take out my book. A Naruto clone sent a jab at Kakashi's face, which he blocked with one of his hands. He used the other to punch the clone in the stomach, causing him to dispel. One of the clones came from behind and put Kakashi into a full Nelson. He replied by throwing the clone at 3 others in front, causing them all to dispel. Another clone came from above with his fist reared back and ready to punch the Jonin, but he dodged and then kicked the falling clone in the back, causing him to dispel as well. He then leg swiped 3 more clones from behind, causing them to fall and dispel. 2 more came from both sides, and Kakashi dodged, making the clones punch each other in the face, causing them to dispel. Kakashi's only visible eye widened. He's a master in using clones. How is that even possible? He only had that jutsu for about a week. Naruto frowned as he tilted his head to the right. I didn't think this would be such a massacre. Just then, 5 more clones dispelled. Well, at least they were a good distraction. I managed to set up Plan B without him noticing. As the last clone dispelled, Naruto jumped up into the air and made another clone, making him throw the real Naruto at Kakashi. Naruto aimed a fist at Kakashi, but he dodged and grabbed Naruto in a full Nelson of his own. It seems that the tide of this battle has turned, said Kakashi. Naruto grinned. Then it turned into a smirk. It seems so. For kunai then hit Kakashi in the back. Sasuke's eyes widened in surprise. How did the dope just do all that? Is he really the same dead last that was at the academy? Sakura gasped and almost fell down the small tree she was on. Is that really Naruto? Naruto knew, however, that this wasn't even the beginning, as Kakashi disappeared and a log appeared in his stead with 4 kunais engraved in it. Kakashi, who was on a tree branch side. That was too close for comfort. Naruto retreated into one of the trees and got into a meditative pose and closed his eyes. Plan B didn't work. Time for Plan C. Chapter 4. Naruto looked carefully at the fight between Sasuke and their sensei and started focusing his chakra. Hopefully Sasuke team can distract Kakashi sensei long enough for me to do this. Naruto pointed his index and middle finger at Kakashi, stuck his thumb up to the sky, and brought his ring finger and pinky backwards, making a gun shape with his right hand. He outstretched his left hand and looked back and forth between his right and left hand. Just like I thought yesterday at night, the chakra gun is a lot more effective if used like this. A ball of chakra gathered at the tip of Naruto's index and middle finger in his right hand, while another chakra ball was made in the palm of his left hand. He began making the chakra ball at the tip of his fingers slimmer and pointier, while the ball on his left hand stayed the same. Naruto stared at the dual chakra guns in awe and looked over at Kakashi. I never tested the new version of the chakra gun before. I only thought about it overnight. The focused version should be able to penetrate almost anything, while the non-focused version should explode on contact. I hope this works. Naruto looked over at the fight and saw that Sasuke was completely buried underground except for his head, while Kakashi was walking away. Naruto waited for the perfect moment to fire and narrowed his eyes in complete focus. I see an opening. Shuchu Chakura Ju, focused chakra gun. Naruto fired the chakra gun in his right hand, destroying a huge chunk of the tree behind him, also causing his hand to violently recoil upwards. Kakashi noticed the attack coming towards him, and his visible eye widened in shock. What the dash? If that attack hits, it'll go right through me. Not being able to go through any hand seals fast enough, Kakashi jumped up into the sky, and the chakra bullet pierced straight through the ground. Naruto smirked at the sight of his sensei in the sky. I got him now. Hai Shuchu Chakura Ju, non-focused chakra gun. Naruto fired the ball of chakra that was in his left hand at his sensei, causing Naruto to be thrown violently into the ground and create a small crater. The ball of chakra, which was slower than the last, but obviously packed a bigger punch, headed for Kakashi's landing. Naruto smirked in triumph. He may be much stronger than me, but there is no way this won't hit him. Sasuke's jaw dropped. Then he grit his teeth. Is that the Dobe's jutsu? Just how much stronger has he gotten? Kakashi had to act quickly or the ball of chakra would hit him. I have to use the shadow clone jutsu. Kakashi made a clone and used it to throw him out the way. Naruto grit his teeth and smacked his fist into the ground in frustration. Darn it. I've used my strongest moves against him, yet they didn't work. I only had one chance. Now he knows my location as well. What now? Naruto's attack hit the Kakashi clone, making him dispel. The shockwave sent the real Kakashi flying down into the ground, but he managed to regain his footing and land safely. Kakashi looked over at the bushes where the attack was fired from and dusted himself. That troublesome Naruto. When did he learn those jutsu? Kakashi shoved those thoughts to the back of his head. Anyway, nobody got the point of this exercise. It's such a shame. I thought that they were different than the rest. Just then, the alarm clock Kakashi set started ringing. Sasuke, Sakura, and even Naruto, who had breakfast, stomachs began growling. Oh, stomachs growling, huh? That's not a good sign, said Kakashi. They all grimaced and looked at the ground, knowing that they failed. About this test, I decided not to send you back to the academy. Naruto and Sakura's faces lit up in happiness, and Sasuke merely grinned ever so slightly. Their celebration was, however, short-lived when Kakashi continued speaking. I decided to drop you from the program, permanently. What do you mean dropped from the program? Why? Just because we didn't get a stupid bell? Asked Naruto angrily. No, because you don't think like ninja, but like kids, like brats. This caused Sasuke to attack Kakashi in anger, but Kakashi flipped him onto the ground and stepped on his head. Sasuke, screamed Sakura. Kakashi's mood changed. You think it's all about you, huh? Sakura screamed. Let go of Sasuke. You can't step on him like he's some kind of bug. Sasuke grunted while Kakashi said, You don't know what it means to be a ninja, you just think it's some kind of game, huh? Why did you think we put you in squads, huh? Did that even cross your mind for one moment? I see. The whole point of this exercise is teamwork. It didn't really matter if we could get a bell or not. Use your head. 3 people in a squad? Teamwork, said Kakashi. I purposely pit you against each other by using 2 bells only. Sakura, you thought too much about Sasuke that you never even tried to get a bell or help Naruto in his fight. Naruto, you are strong, but you do everything on your own. Sasuke, you thought everybody was so much beneath you. Arrogance. A mission requires individual skills, yes, but teamwork is the most essential part. If you mess up, a hostage would be taken and would lead to death. For example, Sakura, kill Naruto, or Sasuke dies. The Jonin sensei took out a knife and pressed it against Sasuke's neck. Sakura screamed while Naruto remained calm. That's exactly what happens. Kakashi put the knife away and released Sasuke from beneath him and walked over to a memorial stone. This memorial stone has the names of all my friends who were killed in action, They were these kinds of heroes. Kakashi looked back at the three and sighed. All right, I will give you one more chance after you eat lunch. However, Sakura won't get any food for not even attempting to do anything. Also, if anyone even tries to feed her, everyone will fail. He handed out 2 lunches and left. When Naruto and Sasuke started eating, Sakura's stomach started growling. Sasuke sighed and handed his lunchbox to Sakura. Here, you need it more than I do. Plus, you'd be dead weight if you don't eat. Come on, eat before Kakashi shows up. Sakura blushed and became a dark shade of red and looked like she was going to faint. Naruto looked at Sakura, then at his lunch, then back to Sakura. No, take mine. Even though I did exert a lot of chakra, I already had breakfast. As Naruto gave Sakura his lunchbox, smoke appeared and from it emerged Kakashi. You. Team 7 buckled up and grunted as they knew what the consequences would be. Kakashi gave them a nice smile. Pass. Naruto looked at Kakashi and raised his eyebrows in confusion. We pass. Sakura was also confused. How did we pass? You said we would fail if anyone offered me food. Kakashi turned to the memorial stone and put his hands in his pocket and sighed. Those who break the rules are trash. Kakashi looked at the sky and continued. But those who abandon their comrades are much lower than trash. Naruto and Sakura rejoiced while Sasuke smiled, a legit smile. Kakashi smiled in enthusiasm. Team 7 starts its first mission tomorrow. The next morning, Team 7 did their first mission. Did it live up to the hype? No. The mission was to capture a Hellcat named Tora. The job was boring, and Naruto started to beg the Hokage for a better mission. His teammates had to silently agree, but never voice their opinion. He finally gave them a D-rank mission to safely escort a villager named Tazuna back to his country, Wave Country. Naruto looked in front of him with a grin on his face. Finally, a mission worthy of my time. The team and the bridge builders started walking. Naruto looked around at the sight of the trees and began to lose excitement. All he saw was trees. I thought being out of the village would be exciting, guess not. The group kept walking until Naruto noticed something strange. A puddle? How? It hasn't rained for a long time now. Naruto looked at the sun and shaded his eyes. Plus, with this heat, it should evaporate really quickly. Kakashi-sensei. Naruto turned around when he heard Sakura scream. He saw his sensei being cut into pieces by shinobi. The sight made him gag and want to throw up. Naruto entered battle mode and looked at the 2 shinobi. Both were wearing water-breathing apparatus, a black cloak, and nasty-looking claws. Naruto looked behind and saw Sakura protecting the bridge builder. He then eyed Sasuke non-verbally telling him that they each needed to take 1 shinobi. Naruto took the guy on the left, while Sasuke took the one on the right. Naruto lunged at the shinobi, kicking him in the head and doing a backflip. Naruto regained his footing and skid across the plain. Making hand signs, Naruto inhaled deeply. Futon, Daitapa, wind release, great breakthrough. A powerful gust of wind hit the shinobi, and he was sent flying into a tree. Naruto smirked in triumph. Thank goodness I had one of my clones learn this C-rank jutsu. It's really effective. Naruto looked at Sasuke, who had the other shinobi tied to a tree with ninja wire. Nicely done, you two. Kakashi came from behind and looked at the 2 shinobi. Sakura looked at Kakashi in relief. Kakashi-sensei, you're alive. Kakashi pointed at the remnants of a log. I guess the blood was just a jinjutsu. Wait, sensei, why didn't you help me and Sasuke sooner? Asked Naruto in confusion. Kakashi looked at Naruto and gave him a nice smile. I didn't for 2 reasons. 1, I believed in you and knew that you could win, even if they were Chunin-level shinobi. 2, I had to see who or what they were attacking because it's very unlikely that they would attack us for no reason. He then looked at Tazuna and narrowed his eyes. And I discovered that reason. Kakashi turned around. They were really after you, the master bridge builder. You only said bandits or highwaymen will attack you, but not ninja. This mission should be at least B rank. So, is there anything else that we need to know? Tazuna looked down in guilt. Somebody who goes by the name of Gato has hired ninja to assassinate me. That's why I need ninja help. Tazuna thought that Team 7 would back down and sighed, but was surprised when Naruto spoke up. If anyone wants to go back now, they can go. I don't really care because I'm going to finish this mission and test my skills. Sasuke smirked and looked at Naruto. HN, you think you can protect him on your own, huh? Well, without my help, You won't be able to do anything to those ninja. Naruto raised his eyebrow. Does that mean you're in team? HN. So, let's continue then. Kakashi started walking, and everyone else followed. Though I feel like the next opponent we face will be as strong as me. The next day, Team 7 reached the coast they were supposed to be in, and Tazuna led everyone onto a boat to cross the lake, with one problem: the fog. Naruto looked around frustrated that he couldn't really see anything. This fog is really thick. Sakura looked outside the boat and at the lake. Yeah, all I can see is water. The boatman finally spoke up. Once we're closer, we'll be able to see the bridge. As if on cue, the large, unfinished bridge appeared. There it is. Naruto pointed at the large bridge in awe. I didn't think an old man would be capable of constructing a bridge like this. That wasn't very nice, said Tazuna. Once they got off of the boat and onto the country, the group left the boatman and headed towards Tazuna's house. On their way there, the fog cleared and Naruto sighed. That's more like it. As the group walked in complete silence, a rustling was heard in the bushes and Naruto, on instinct, threw a kunai at it. What was that, Naruto? Asked Kakashi. Naruto narrowed his eyes at the bush. I think someone was hiding there. When Naruto reached the bush, his kunai was only a few inches away from a frightened white rabbit. Naruto Baka, look what you did to that poor rabbit. Sakura shouted at Naruto while their sensei went to investigate. A white rabbit at this time of year? That could only mean it was grown indoors and used as a substitution. Kakashi's eyes widened in surprise and realization. Everyone get down now. The group got down while Naruto pushed Tazuna down on the ground as a large cleaver passed only a few inches above their heads. The cleaver stuck in a tree and someone was standing on top of it. Kakashi looked at him in surprise. The demon of the hidden mist, Zabuza Momochi. The person standing on top of the cleaver had a Kiri headband with bandages that covered part of his face and neck. He didn't wear a shirt but wore pants and shinobi shoes. He smirked as he disappeared, and the mist thickened, making the group surround Tazuna with kunai in hand. What was felt next was an insane killing intent that surrounded the entire area. The killing intent made Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura shiver, but Naruto and Sasuke were affected the most. Naruto struggled to breathe and looked down at his hands, dropping the kunai. What the hell is this? This aura? This murderous aura? Naruto's vision began to fade. Sasuke was in an even worse condition. This killing intent, I can't take it. Kakashi noticed his students were in such a state and decided to reassure them and give them an eye smile. Don't worry, I won't let anything happen to my comrades ever. This seemed to calm Naruto and Sasuke down as they focused on the battle. Clank. Zabuza's cleaver clashed with Kakashi's kunai as the rest of the team along with Tazuna backed away. Their fight was taken to the water and Naruto's vision started to blur and he found himself in front of a cage. Naruto saw a huge pair of eyes and a loud voice coming from behind the cage as a giant red fox appeared. Naruto's eyes widened in awe. So you're the QB, huh? I don't see what the big deal is about you. Naruto then noticed that the giant fox was asleep and a tick mark appeared on his forehead, but before Naruto could give him a piece of his mind, he was brought back to the real world. Naruto was still standing and noticed that Kakashi was imprisoned in some kind of water cage. Run. This battle was over the moment I got caught. Run now, and take the bridge builder with you. Naruto looked at Sasuke and knew that they had to do something to get their sensei out of the water prison. Naruto came up with a plan and charged Zabuza. What are you doing, Naruto? I told you to run. Naruto made a single hand sign, creating 10 clones. You know we can't leave you, sensei. All the clones attacked Zabuza, who made 2 water clones to defend him. The 10 Naruto clones attacked one Zabuza clone, while the real Naruto threw 2 shuriken at the other clone. Making a couple of hand seals, he said, Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. The 2 shuriken became 100 and they headed at the clone with speed. Naruto, however, was not finished and made more hand seals. Futon. Daitapa. A gust of wind hit the shuriken, speeding them up greatly, and they hit the Zabuza clone. However, he exploded, not only destroying the other Zabuza clone, but also all the other Naruto clones, and sending the real Naruto flying. We can't lose yet. Sasuke heads up. While he was still getting knocked back, Naruto threw a Fuma Shuriken at Sasuke, who caught it and smirked. So, that's your plan, Adobe? Sasuke then proceeded to throw the Fuma Shuriken at Zabuza. Eat this. A loud wheezing sound was heard. Nice try, but that won't work on me. The demon of the mist caught the Fuma shuriken and smirked. Sakura gasped. They missed. However, Naruto and Sasuke grinned. A second Fuma shuriken headed for Zabuza. A second one in the shadow of the first? Nice plan, but Zabuza raised his feet of the ground, and the Fuma shuriken missed again, but it dispersed, and out came a grinning Naruto still flying through the air. Sasuke smirked and said something under his breath. Do it, dope. Sakura smiled, and so did Tazuna. Do it, Naruto. Naruto took out another Fuma shuriken and kept grinning. You shouldn't underestimate us just because we're Genin. And on that note, Naruto threw the shuriken at Zabuza. Shit. Zabuza cursed as he was forced to release the water prison Jutsu, releasing Kakashi. But Naruto didn't stop there, and he dispelled, revealing that he was actually a clone. The other Fuma shuriken also dispersed, revealing another clone with chakra at the tip of his fingers. Eat this, Zabuza. The Naruto clone smirked as he pointed the chakra bullet at Zabuza. Shuchu Chakura Ju. He was sent flying and dispelled as soon as he hit the surface of the water. The chakra bullet headed towards Zabuza, who cursed again and dodged, but it managed to graze his shoulder, causing it to bleed heavily. Curse you. You will pay for this, screamed Zabuza as he headed towards Naruto with his cleaver ready, but was intercepted by Kakashi. The real fight starts now. Chapter 5. Your fight is with me, Kakashi said, his Sharingan eye glaring at the demon of the mist. Zabuza glared at Kakashi before jumping back and placing his large cleaver on his back. Fine by me. I'll just kill the brats after I kill you. He began going through several hand seals, moving faster than any of the genin could follow. However, Kakashi could see them and was managing to copy hand seals that Zabuza was doing with relative ease. Suetun, Suryuden no Jutsu, Water Release, Water Dragon Jutsu. Both Kakashi and Zabuza shouted at the same time. Two large water dragons with glowing yellow eyes formed in front of the two shinobi and clashed against each other with a loud roar, canceling each other out. Zabuza growled as he started doing more hand seals. As he did, however, he saw Kakashi begin doing his own hand seals. What's this? It's like he can dash. Read my mind. Kakashi finished and smirked, copying Zabuza's hand seals even faster than he did. Zabuza snarled as he attempted to speed up his hand sealing. I won't let some dash. Copycat monkey, like you beat me. The two shouted at the same time. As they continued doing hand seals, Zabuza stopped and stared as he found something behind Kakashi that shocked him. Is that me? As his own figure appeared behind Kakashi in a wavy apparition. Suetun, Daibakufu no Jutsu, Water Release, Great Water Vortex Jutsu. Kakashi shouted, sending a huge vortex of water at a shocked Zabuza. Zabuza was blasted through the air and only stopped when he hit a tree with enough force to the bark. Before anything else could happen, several kunai were launched at the Kiri-nuke Nin, hitting him in his arms, left leg and torso. Zabuza coughed up blood, staining his bandages as it leaked out of his mouth. A presence above him made him look up to see Kakashi crouched down on the tree branch with a kunai in his hand. Can you see the future? Zabuza asked, not quite sure why he had asked that, only that it seemed to fit with what he had seen. Yes, Kakashi said, his mixed eyes staring at Zabuza. And I see your death. Before Kakashi could finish Zabuza off, several Senbon pierced the man's neck. Zabuza's eyes rolled up in the back of his head as he fell to the ground. You were right, said a voice that came from Kakashi's left. Turning, he saw a young person whose gender was hard to tell due to the blue robes that covered their form. On the person's face was a mask that Kakashi recognized as a hunter ninja mask from Kiri. This was going to be his final battle. Kakashi grunted as he jumped off the branch and made his way over to Zabuza, checking the man's pulse. He's dead, he mumbled, turning to look at the hunter ninja. You're a hunter ninja from Kiri. The hunter ninja bowed. I am. I would like to thank you for stalling him for me. I have been after Zabuza Momochi for a long time. Kakashi sighed as he brought his headband back down over his eye, covering the Sharingan. His Genin squad came up behind him, looking at the hunter ninja in curiosity. The hunter ninja disappeared in a swirl of water, reappearing next to Zabuza's fallen body. Bending down, the hunter ninja picked up Zabuza, pulling the man's arm over their shoulder. Now, if you'll excuse me, this body has many secrets, so I need to go and burn it. Naruto frowned as he watched the hunter ninja disappear in another swirl of water. I get the feeling I'm missing something here. Kakashi-sensei. Turning around, Naruto saw Kakashi fall face first onto the ground, his one visible eye closed. Rushing over to him, Naruto placed a hand on his neck. He's alive, Naruto said to Sakura, who had come up to them. He's just unconscious. Signs indicate chakra exhaustion. Sighing, Naruto stood and brought his hands in the ram seal. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Two clones puffed into existence and lifted Kakashi by the arms and legs. Tazuna, we need to go to your home now. Think you can lead us there? Asked Naruto. Yeah, Tazuna said as he tried to get his bearings. It's just this way, follow me. After the battle, the group arrived at Tazuna's house. His house was a decent-sized two-story house that was sitting on a dock just a little over the ocean. As the group walked up to the house, Tazuna knocked on the door. Tsunami, open up. The group could hear a quick sound of feet on the other side. Coming. The door opened, and a beautiful woman in her mid to late 20s with dark blue shoulder-length hair and brown eyes appeared. She was wearing a pink sweater and a blue skirt. Dad, the woman said in relief when she saw him. Thank goodness you're all right. Of course I'm all right, Tazuna said with a large smile on his face meant for his daughter. It's all thanks to these Konoha ninja here. Tazuna looked behind at Team 7. Tsunami looked over Tazuna's shoulder to see the group with him. Thank you very much, she said with a bow before she noticed two copies of one of the ninja, carrying someone who looked like he fainted. Oh my goodness. Is he all right? Naruto smiled. He's fine. He just exhausted too much chakra. We have to let him rest. Is there a bed or mattress here? Naruto looked over Tsunami's shoulder in search of a bed. Of course, Tsunami opened the door, ushering the group to enter. The group entered and followed Tsunami up a set of stairs and into a hallway. She opened the first door on the left and let the Naruto clones in. Walking over to a closet in the room, she opened it and grabbed a bedspread that she set out on the floor. Here you are, she said. Thank you. The clone set Kakashi down. The two clones dispelled surprising Tsunami, who looked at the smoke where the clones had been in surprise. What the? Kage Bunshin, Naruto answered as he leaned against the wall next to window, making the woman turn to him. They're just solid copies of myself. She nodded her head as Sakura sat down next to their sensei. Are you going to be all right, Kakashi-sensei? She asked. Yeah, Kakashi said in a strained voice, having woken up some time in the past few minutes. I just won't be able to move for a week or so. Sakura looked surprised. What? It's because of the Sharingan. I'm not an Uchiha. The group was silent for a little while after that, thinking about all that had happened and what their next move should be. Well, at least we defeated that strong ninja this time, Tazuna said with a relieved laugh. So we should be safe for now. By the way, who was that masked ninja? Asked Sakura. She had remembered reading something about ninja who wore those masks before. That's the mask worn by Kirigakura's special hunter ninja team, Kakashi answered. They are also known as body erasers. Their duty is to completely dispose of a body without a trace. A ninja's body within it has many secrets that can be revealed with a proper examination of a medical ninja. Things like ninjutsu, different chakra types, herbs, and many other secrets that will reveal things about the village. For example, if I died, the secrets of the Sharingan could be revealed. If you're not careful, there's the danger that the enemy will steal your jutsu. Naruto nodded to himself. His clones had read about the hunter ninja forces. Konoha had its own force of hunter ninjas, designed to hunt down missing ninja and kill them before they could become a problem. That's why the hunter ninja are around. The rest of the group turned towards Naruto. In order to protect the secrets of their village, hunter ninja have the jobs of going into the world and hunting down the missing ninja of their village. They're specialists who guard their village's secrets. So that Zabuza has been chopped up and disposed of? Sakura asked with a pale complexion as she spoke. Scary. Kakashi shook his head. I'm not so sure. What do you mean? Asked Sakura as she looked over at her sensei. What are you not sure about? Kakashi frowned. When a hunter ninja disposes of a body, it's supposed to be on the spot. That way no one has a chance to discover the secrets they might hold before they can get rid of it. They usually cut off the head and then burn the body with a katan jutsu. However, his mind went back to their encounter with the hunter ninja. However, that ninja didn't do that. Instead, he left with the body in tow. On top of that, he used Senbon to kill the target. and it didn't look like he was carrying any kind of heavy equipment that could decapitate a person. It seems odd that a hunter ninja would be so ill-equipped to deal with the disposing of a body. Naruto, who had been quiet, decided to speak up. So Kakashi-sensei, you're saying that there is a chance that he'll be back, right? Kakashi nodded, which caused Sakura to panic and Naruto to sigh. He then exited the room. Sakura looked at Naruto before asking, "Where are you going?" Naruto didn't even turn his back and replied, "To train. I want to get ready for our next encounter with him." Naruto left the house and made 200 clones. All right, listen up. I want you to divide yourselves. Work on taijutsu and calligraphy. The calligraphy group, once you're finished, work on the Fuka Houen, fire sealing jutsu. Now, I want 20 clones to follow me. Naruto started walking until he and his clones reached the ocean. Okay, I want 10 clones to stay on the shore and 10 clones to practice the water walking exercise. The 10 clones on the shore, I want you to use futon, Daytapa to make waves and try to knock the other clones off balance, but you can't aim it directly at them. Once a team is declared victor, dispel. Naruto gave the clones his instructions and went off to do some more training. Let's find out what my limit is. Since the Mizuki incident, Naruto talked to the third Hokage Sarutobi about his affinities, and he found out that his two affinities were wind and water. Naruto created 50 more clones. All right, I want half of you to work on the Suiton, Koku no Jutsu, water release, Black Rain Jutsu. The Black Rain Jutsu is a jutsu that rains oil on top of an enemy. It isn't effective on its own, but with fire, it's really effective and could kill with relative ease. Naruto picked this jutsu because he knew that it would work well with Sasuke's fire-style jutsu, or even a simple explosive tag. Now, I want the rest of you to work on the Suiton, Teppadama, water release, water bullet. The water bullet jutsu is a jutsu that shoots water like bullets out of the user's mouth. The amount and power varies depending on the chakra put into the jutsu. Once Naruto told the clones what to do, he moved away from them a bit and created 50 more clones. Naruto sighed before saying, I want all of you to practice futon, Shinkajin, wind release, vacuum blade. The vacuum blade jutsu is a jutsu where the user exhales wind-infused chakra onto a weapon in order to increase its sharpness and range. Naruto moved away from the 50 clones, but he didn't move away too far because he knew that the space he had was actually quite limited since he didn't want to risk being seen by the enemy. Naruto sat down in a meditative pose and focused. This is where I test my limits. Naruto then found himself in front of a cage, the Kyuubi's cage. Naruto looked at the giant red fox in annoyance. Hey Kyuubi, I know that you're not asleep, so talk to me. Naruto sat down cross-legged waiting for the mighty fox to reply, but he never did. So you want to be that way, huh? Naruto smirked and stood up with his hands in his pockets. I thought that I'd, make you deal. I'll offer you freedom for help, but you don't want to even talk to me, so I'll be leaving. As Naruto walked away, it was the Kyuubi's turn to smirk. So you want to control me, he said in a deep voice. Naruto stopped dead in his track and turned around. That's right, and I thought I'd do it with no violence, We'd become friends and stuff. This caused the Kyuubi to laugh hysterically. What Naruto said next caused the Kyuubi's eyes to widen. Naruto snickered and said, well, when I ripped a piece of the scroll of seals, I found out that jutsu wasn't the only thing written there. There was a letter written by Hagoromo Otsutsuki or Rakuto Sanin. Naruto smirked at the expression that the Kyuubi made and threw him a letter which he caught. I didn't know anything about this Hagoromo Otsutsuki person, so I made many clones search for a book about him. Me and my clones looked everywhere for a book that offered information about him. In the entire Leaf Village, we only found one book about him, a book that was written by Hagoromo Otsutsuki himself. I read it, but of course, I'm only a kid, so I only managed to get about 1/10 of it down. However, I did find out some interesting stuff. The letter that you're reading is directed towards the tailed beasts and their Jinchuriki. The Kyuubi looked up from the letter and looked at Naruto. Hey human, can you give me the book he wrote? Naruto snickered and crossed his arms. Of course I can. This is my head. Anything that was in my memories, I can bring here. A dark green book appeared in Naruto's hands. It was thick, really, really thick. However, in the Kyuubi's point of view, it looked like a small cracker. It was the Kyuubi's turn to snicker. Is that the best you can do? Naruto looked at him, and a huge book appeared inside the Kyuubi's cage, which surprised the Kyuubi himself. Naruto smirked and said, What's that, Kyubi? Are you impressed with what a measly human can do? Or should I say, Kurama? Naruto was sent flying when Kurama roared, but Naruto managed to get a mattress behind him, soothing his landing. That wasn't very nice, said Naruto sarcastically. Now what do you say? Are you in or out? Kurama looked up from the book to Naruto. Fine, but trust me, I'm only doing this for an old friend. By the way, I'm keeping this book. Now open this damn cage. Naruto looked at the seal in the middle of the cage and began floating, heading towards it. Sure thing. Once the paper seal was removed, the cage opened violently and Kurama came out of it. Now kid, here, take my chakra. Red chakra surrounded Naruto and began to expand until it exploded and Naruto was brought back to the real world. Once he was out, he looked at himself, his eyes so wide that they threatened to roll out of his head. Naruto had a golden chakra shroud with 6 Magatama markings around his neck, 2 distinctive horns resembling the Sage of the Six Paths silhouette, swirl designs similar to the Uzumaki clan symbol, and various other lines extending along his body. This is called the Kyubi Chakura Modo, Nine Tails Chakra Mode, said Kurama inside Naruto's head. While you're in this chakra mode, your strength, speed, and durability is multiplied by a lot. First, run as fast as you can to that boulder over there. Naruto looked at a boulder in front of him and ran at it as fast as he could. The thing is, the boulder was several meters in front of him, and when he ran at it, he glided past it in less than a second. He looked at himself in surprise. I just did that. No way. Kurama snickered. Yes, you did. Now, try punching the boulder, and go slower this time. Naruto walked to the boulder until he was 1 foot away from it. He reared back his fist and punched the boulder. Unlike what Naruto was expecting, the boulder shattered into 100 pieces, making his eyes go wide yet again. Kurama spoke up inside his head again. Now, durability-wise, you'll be able to take hundreds of boulder-destroying hits and stay alive. You'll also be able to survive extreme heat, but the problem is time. Just as Kurama said those words, the chakra cloak disappeared, returning Naruto back to his old self. Right now, you can only hold the cloak for 1 minute, but once you're used to it, you'll be able to keep it up as long as you want, but with another problem, chakra exhaustion, and you seem to know a lot about chakra exhaustion judging from the battle today, so you will know your limits, I'm sure. I have to warn you though, if you overuse this chakra mode, you'll be in an almost irrecoverable state. Now for the time being, this secret will only be kept between you and me. I have told you everything. Now go, your friends are waiting. Naruto sucked all the information in and grinned because he knew what he'll be capable of if he trained his new chakra form. Thank you, Kurama. Inside his mind, the Kyubi, Kurama grinned thinking, he's different from everyone else, from all of my hosts, from all of the humans. Minato, Kushina, and even you old man Hagoromo. One day he'll surpass you all. On that note, Kurama went to sleep. Naruto grinned as he dispelled all of his clones, giving him a minor headache. Before he passed out, he made a vow. I will become the greatest shinobi that the world has ever seen. One day, I'll surpass everyone and become the greatest Hokage. That's my dream, and it will become a reality. Chapter 6. Haku, the ninja who posed as a hunter Nin the other day, hummed a tune as she picked up some medical herbs. Looking to the left, Haku caught sight of a figure lying on the ground a little ways away. Acting cautious, Haku approached the non-moving figure to see who it was, recognizing the blonde that had come up with that plan that nearly killed Zabuza. The hunter wondered what should be done. Kneeling down, Haku looked the figure over. The boy had tears in his clothing, showing off the blonde's surprisingly muscular figure underneath. Haku reached a hand out to the blonde's throat. The boy was a hindrance to Zabuza's plan. The best option would be to remove him before he could cause a problem. However, Haku paused midway to Naruto's throat, sighed, and gently began to shake the blonde's shoulder. Hey, wake up. You'll catch a cold if you sleep out here, Haku said. Naruto groaned as he sat up and rubbed his head. Where am I? Naruto blinked a bit as the blurriness in his vision began to clear. Sitting up, he stretched his arms above his head as he let out a loud yawn. Bringing his hands back down and leaning against them, Naruto turned to look at the person who had woken him. It was a young woman who looked to be maybe a year or two older than him. She had long dark brown hair and chocolate brown eyes. She was wearing a pink yukata with blue designs on it. A small black choker was around her neck. She was kindly smiling at him. I'm sorry. he said, unsure what to say. Haku giggled. That's all right. Though, you should be more careful. If you stay out here all night long, you may catch a cold and die. How is that? Naruto asked, scratching the back of his head. I didn't know colds could kill. And in any case, I've never been sick a day in my life. He paused as he looked over at Haku. So what about you? What are you doing this early in the morning? Haku smiled and lifted the basket she was holding. I'm picking some herbs for my friend who got injured a while ago. I'm gathering these to help in his recovery. Cool, Naruto said. He sighed as he looked for any information in his head about herbs, but found out that his clones read nothing on that topic. I don't know much about herbs, but I can help you. What do you say? That would be nice. By the way, my name's Haku. She bent down, setting the basket back on the ground and grabbed a few of the herbs. I'm Naruto. So, what should I be looking for? Asked Naruto sheepishly as he rubbed the back of his head. Haku giggled and stopped picking up herbs. She then sat on the ground with Naruto and started explaining what medical herbs were. Naruto headed towards Tezuna's home with a grin on his face. Looking at his dirty form, he decided to take a bath. I should wash myself first. Naruto spotted a river and then sat beside it. Taking of his shirt, gloves, and headband, he set his feet in the water. It was hot, really hot, which came as a surprise to Naruto. He stood up on the river bank and dove into the water. Underwater, Naruto smiled thinking about the power he had gotten yesterday. Front flipping, Naruto rose from beneath the surface. Closing his eyes, Naruto decided to speak to his tenant. Yo, Kurama, you awake in there? Naruto was now in his sewer for brain, looking at the mighty Kurama. What do you want, kid? Can't you see I'm trying to sleep here? Kurama spoke with his eyes closed and paws under his chin as he lay on the ground. Naruto looked around the place with a confused look on his face. Do you know why my brain is a sewer? Kurama smirked and looked at Naruto. It's your brain. What do you think it would be? Suddenly, the sewer turned into a plain with very few but huge trees. There were rivers, lakes, small mountains, and huge mountains. The whole place was illuminated by a small sun. It was nothing short of paradise. Naruto smiled at the beauty of things here and at the flowers and herbs. I should bring Haku here. She'd love it. Kurama, however, smirked. Showing off, huh? Naruto frowned and crossed his arms. I see you don't like this place, huh? I thought that you would love this place, seeing as though you've been locked up for over 70 years. Oh well, I'm going to go train, see ya. Naruto opened his eyes and sighed. He took one final dip into the water and got out. Putting his clothes on, Naruto bathed in the sun so he would get dry and continued walking towards Tezuna's home. Once he reached the house, he knocked on the door, but to his surprise, nobody answered. He knocked again and again, but nobody came to open the door. Once he was tired of knocking, he pushed the door open and entered. Naruto saw Tsunami asleep on the couch and raised an eyebrow. He took a seat in the kitchen table and waited for Tsunami to wake up. Naruto shot up from the kitchen table once he heard her sleepy voice. And Naruto-kun. Naruto grinned and walked over to her. Tsunami-chan, where did Kakashi-sensei, Sasuke, and Sakura go? Tsunami tilted her head at him as she yawned. They left to train. Actually, they have been going to train for the last 4 days every morning. Naruto's jaw dropped. I've been passed out for 4 days. I guess using Kurama's chakra for the first time really had its toll on me. Naruto smiled at Tsunami and left. Thank you, Tsunami-chan. Once he closed the door, he bolted towards the woods to look for his team. That damn Kakashi-sensei. Why didn't he come wake me up? I hope this training really is something else, not some lame tree walking exercise. Naruto came across a tree with several markings on it. What is this? He looked around and saw half a dozen more trees with the same markings on them, each reaching the end of the trees. Naruto spotted one of his teammates free falling from the sky or from atop a tree. He went over to Sasuke, who was panting and had a kunai in his hand. He then connected the two and fell on the ground from laughter. You've been tree climbing for the past 4 days? Seriously? Sasuke watched Naruto with wide eyes proceed to climb up a tree. This is how it's done, said Naruto, still up in the tree. Once Naruto landed on the ground, he grinned at Sasuke's face. Dope, when did you learn climb trees with chakra? A week before we got placed into team's team. Now, where's Kakashi-sensei and Sakura? Sasuke said nothing and climbed up the tree, leaving behind a face-palming Naruto. Okay, be that way. Naruto walked away thinking about what he should do. I guess I'll have some clones train while I work on the chakra mode. Naruto made 350 clones, divided them, and gave them his instructions on what to train in. He then went to find a peaceful place to train his chakra mode. Going into chakra mode, he once again looked at himself in awe, but then focused on the matter at hand. So Kurama, what else can I do in this mode? Kurama sighed and said, you can grow chakra hands from your back. That's one. Just focus your chakra to your back until you feel a tingling sensation. Then stop focusing chakra and you'll grow chakra hands. Surely enough, Naruto did what he was told and chakra hands sprouted from his back. Naruto was curious and wanted to know more. He canceled his chakra hands and asked, what else is there? First, you have to be able to hold the form for at least 5 minutes. And to do that, you have to practice holding your chakra around and inside your body. What does that mean, Kurama? Your instructions aren't clear. Naruto trained every day for 2 days until the final day before Zabuza is supposed to show up. On the 7th day, Naruto, Kakashi, Sasuke, and Sakura met up for some more training. Kakashi, who was no longer on crutches, greeted the team. Yo, seeing as how you mastered the tree climbing exercise, Sasuke took a second to glare at Naruto. We will start with the water walking exercise. Sakura whined as she looked at Kakashi. Please, sensei, I don't want to get wet. Naruto started complaining as well soon as his sensei said those words. But sensei, I already mastered the water walking exercise. That too, huh? Oh well, when Sasuke finishes, you can spar together. Both Jinin smirked and Sasuke instantly wanted to finish the water walking exercise quickly. Naruto sat up on a tree branch and watched his teammates fall into the water countless times. Bored, Naruto decided to start a conversation with his sensei and jumped down from the tree. However, Kakashi was the one to start the conversation. Hey Naruto, where were you the past 6 days? Kurama told Naruto not to tell anyone about his Kyuubi chakra mode, so he decided to say, I was, training alone in the woods. Kakashi knew that he wasn't getting the full truth, but he also knew that that was the best that he could get, so he decided to leave it at that. So, how strong have you gotten? Asked Kakashi. Naruto smirked and looked at his sensei as he stood up. I guess we'll find out now. Sasuke's finished with the water walking exercise. Okay, you two. I want a clean fight. Sakura was sitting behind Kakashi cheering for Sasuke. Dope, I've been wanting to fight you since we became a team. Same here. Kakashi leaped backwards as he said, Hajime. Naruto and Sasuke lunged at each other, both with determined looks in their eyes. Naruto sent an uppercut which Sasuke caught, and sent a jab at Naruto's face which he ducked under. Naruto tried kicking Sasuke, but he jumped backwards and skidded across the ground. Naruto made a couple of hand seals and said, Suiton, Koku no Jutsu. A cloud formed above Sasuke, and black rain soaked him. Kakashi was surprised at what Naruto had done. He soaked Sasuke with oil so he won't be able to use any of his fire jutsu. That's smart. Dope. Sasuke charged Naruto and smashed his fist into his face. It was Naruto's turn to skid across the ground with a little bit of blood trickling down his mouth. Damn, that hurt. Naruto created 50 clones and gave them the command to charge Sasuke. The clones were dispelling quickly as Sasuke kept destroying them. This isn't working. The Black Rain Jutsu is to block his fire-style jutsu, and it's working so far. I can't hit him with water jutsu, or it would wash the oil away, so my best bet is to hit him with wind attacks. Futon de Tapa. A gust of wind hit Sasuke, which sent him flying into a tree, leaving a big dent in it. Naruto celebrated. He celebrated way too soon, however, as Sasuke turned into a log. Where did he go now? Naruto got sent flying again, but regained his footing. You won't win, team. Naruto charged his rival and took 2 shuriken out. He inhaled and exhaled wind chakra onto both shuriken. Futon, Shinkagen. Both shuriken now had wind chakra all around them and were a lot longer. Kakashi's eyes widened. No way. He's already at that level. I should stop the match here before this gets out of hand. Naruto threw the shuriken and guided them towards Sasuke. Each one was going at him from the left and right. Sasuke jumped in between them, and they crashed into the ground. Naruto was already charging Sasuke and managed to kick him in the face. He was sent flying, but a clone was there waiting for him to arrive. He tried kicking him, but Sasuke grabbed his leg and delivered his own kick, causing the clone to dispel. I didn't think Sasuke was this good. Oh well, time to bring out the big guns. Naruto started charging up his chakra gun. But his sensei saw this and intervened. That's enough, Naruto. This match ends in a draw. Naruto had a little conversation with Tsunami's son, Inari, later that day, and he was a hero to him now. Hey Inari, you should go to sleep now. Yeah, sure. Inari reminded Naruto of Konohamaru in a way. Both of them hated Naruto at first, but they respected him sooner or later. Naruto went to sleep late at night and was restless. After a few hours, he was fast asleep. Naruto woke up the next morning worried about what would happen today. He went down the stairs and had breakfast. Inari and Tsunami were still asleep, so Naruto made 3 shadow clones to guard the house. It seems that they left without me. Naruto ran to the bridge where he knew the battle would go down. He ran through a forest as fast as he could without using his chakra mode. Naruto jumped from tree to tree until he reached the Great Bridge. Naruto jumped on top of the bridge and looked for his teammates. He ran until he found Kakashi preoccupied with fighting Zabuza. Kakashi-sensei, where's Sasuke? His sensei intercepted Zabuza's sword with his kunai and looked back at Naruto. In there, Kakashi moved his head towards what looked like an ice dome. Help him. Got it. Naruto observed the dome and narrowed his eyes. Sasuke, Naruto shouted and wanted to know if Sasuke could hear him. After getting no reply, he entered the huge dome. Inside were many mirrors with an unconscious Sasuke in the middle. Sasuke, Naruto shouted as he rushed over towards his rival. He was soaked with blood, and there were several needles stuck in his back. After checking his pulse, Naruto heard the voice of a female. It's okay, he's not dead yet. Naruto looked up and saw the masked Nin that took out Zabuza a week ago with surprise written all over his face. So you really were trying to help Zabuza? Haku looked at Naruto and she knew that he was the ninja she found 3 days ago, but she also knew that he wasn't aware of the fact that she was Haku. So what are you going to do with your friend unconscious like that? You can't beat me alone. Naruto smirked and looked up at the mirror Haku was in. Actually, this is the perfect chance to test out my strength. Inside here, nobody can see me and Sasuke is out cold. Haku raised an eyebrow. Not that Naruto could see it anyway because of the mask. In 1 second, Naruto turned golden and smirked. This is my Kyuubi Chikuramoto. Haku looked at him curiously before deciding to test him by throwing 10 Senbon from 10 different directions. They fell on the ground before even getting near him. What? No way. Naruto smirked as he jumped and punched one of the mirrors on top, shattering it into a million pieces. Haku was shocked and scared at the same time. He broke one of my mirrors with 1 punch? How? Not even Zabuza can do that. Naruto darted around the dome, each time destroying a mirror. To Haku, it looked like yellow flashes darting from one corner to another. She looked at the scene in awe until she decided to intervene by melting the mirrors. The ice turned to water and soaked Naruto. Then, it turned from water to ice, freezing him into place. Haku panted in exhaustion as she approached the now frozen Naruto. You're strong, really strong, but you still need a lot of time before you reach my level. I'm sorry. She pushed the frozen Naruto, and the ice sculpture hit the ground, breaking into 3 pieces. Naruto, however, who was inside, exploded into a puff of smoke and Haku was punched across the bridge, breaking her mask. Naruto was back to his original form with a smirk on his face. Got you. He looked at Sasuke and beckoned Sakura to come. Once she was here, Naruto said to her, go see if Sasuke's alright. He, is kind of in a porcupine state. Sakura's eyes widened as she ran over to her crush. Sasuke-kun. Naruto looked away from Sakura, who was taking the Senbon out of Sasuke's back to the current enemy. Naruto stared at the hunter Nin, who was picking herself up in wide eyes. Haku. What? Haku looked back at Naruto with tears framing her face. I'm sorry it had to come down to this. She threw Senbon at Naruto, who dodged and created 2 shadow clones. Suetun, Koku no Jutsu. Oil rained down on Haku as she moved from underneath the cloud, but wasn't fast enough, so she still got soaked. I'm sorry, Haku. Charge. The 2 clones charged Haku. She managed to hit the first one with a Senbon, but the other tackled her. The clone spoke as he pinned Haku down. Listen, Haku-chan, I'm not a normal shadow clone. I want to spell I'll explode. Please, it doesn't have to be this way. The clone was cut off as Haku hit him with a water jutsu from her mouth, and he exploded afar. Haku charged him again, and they began a taijutsu fight with Naruto, slightly winning. Hisatsu Hyoso. Ice spikes tore through Naruto's clothes, leaving him shirtless with cuts on his muscular and toned body. Naruto winced from the pain he felt. Haku-chan, stop. Suetun tepidama. Naruto spewed many water bullets at Haku, who jumped from side to side, dodging the bullets, until one hit her, sending her flying. Naruto quickly jumped on top of Haku with red eyes and a slit going down the middle. Those, however, vanished. Haku-chan, we don't have to do dash. Naruto was cut off by Haku, who spoke up. Kill me, Naruto-kun. I have failed my purpose in life. I have failed Zabuza. Kill me. How can you say that? You're not a tool. Naruto picked Haku up from the ground as he continued. Get up and live. Live without anyone deciding your future, your fate. You're independent. No one tells you how to live your life. Some people don't have a choice. Naruto looked up at the sky with his left arm over his right shoulder where there was a huge cut before continuing. But you, Haku-chan, you do have a choice. Live. Haku looked at the ground before sighing and looking at Naruto. She started to speak, but was cut off when a sound like that of 1,000 chirping birds filled the air. I'm sorry, Naruto-kun. I have something to do. She shunshin somewhere and Naruto looked behind him. He saw his sensei about to kill his friend with a lightning attack. Naruto's mind stopped, but came to reality a few milliseconds later. Naruto did what he thought would save his friend. Entering his Kyuubi Chikura Moto, Naruto bolted forward to try to stop his sensei. In a brilliant yellow flash, he was next to his sensei, gripping his hand tightly, only an inch away from Haku's chest. Chapter 7. In Naruto, asked a confused Kakashi with widened eyes. What? He was at a loss for words. His student was glowing golden and managed to stop his hand with ease. His grip was so strong that he couldn't even move his hand. Sensei, don't do anything to Haku. She's not your target and Zabuza can't even move his hands anymore. This battle is over. Naruto returned to his original form as he faced the northern side of the bridge. Kakashi looked at Naruto, still surprised, and said, You have a lot of explaining to do when we get to the Leaf Village. A certain midget gathered with his men on the bridge with weapons in hand. Gato. Zabuza growled. He did not want to deal with this fat, greedy midget. What do you want? Such a temper, Zabuza. Gato grinned that showed how much he was savoring this moment. I forgot to mention there's been a change in plans. You see, missing ninja like yourself are simply too expensive to pay for. I never planned on actually paying you. It's always been my plan to simply get rid of you after you did the job and were too weak to do anything. It's so easy to get rid of you, rogue ninja. You abandoned your village, and now no one will come after me after I kill you. Hell, I usually get a bonus with your bounty when I hand you over. Zabuza growled at the man. I see. So that was your plan all along. Of course, Gato smirked. And now you're not going to be able to do a thing to my boys with your broken-ass arms. I doubt you could take down even one of my boys here, though I would be appreciative if you did at least try to kill a few of them. After all, while they may not be as expensive as you, they still cost me some money. Looks like my quarrel with you is over, Kakashi. Zabuza grunted and looked at Haku. It does seem that way. Kakashi agreed, readying a kunai. He did not know how many he could take out with how exhausted he was, but he was not about to go down without a fight. I'll go too, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Naruto made 2 clones which were ready to fight. Haku got into a stance as she thanked Naruto. Thank you, Naruto-kun. Let's beat them together. Naruto smiled at her as they watched their respective senseis charge the crowd. They followed their lead and began their assault. Naruto kicked one of the men, sending him flying into another. He ducked under a punch and elbowed his attacker in the face, making him stumble backwards and fall, blood trickling down his nose. Another attempted a full Nelson and was successful. He grabbed Naruto and waited for his comrade to hit him in the stomach. When he did, Naruto hit the guy who grabbed him and stepped to the side, causing his comrade to hit the guy who grabbed him in the stomach. He uppercut another, sending him flying into the other man. Naruto tied the man he took down with ninja wires and dusted off his hands. His clones also got their jobs done as well and dispelled. Haku threw Senbon at 3 men, causing their eyes to roll to the back of their heads and collapse. She charged another group with kicks, punches, and finally, used her Hisatsu Hyoso to impale the remainder of the gang she was taking on. Kakashi had his famed Raikiri ready and was taking down several men with it. However, it did not go without a price, as when the Jonin sensei had finished off his part of the Gato gang members, he collapsed to one knee with his hand over his Sharingan eye. He covered his eye with his headband as he rose up from the ground. Zabuza only had his legs to attack the gang members, but he was doing quite a good job at it. He showed no mercy as he kicked his enemies in the neck, killing them instantly. He finished off the final gang member as his lifeless body fell to the ground with a thud. Zabuza looked at Gato as he panted in exhaustion. Please. I'll give you anything you want. Just don't hurt me, please. Gato begged Zabuza for mercy, but he never got any. The demon Neem kicked him in the stomach, causing him to double over and grab his stomach in pain. He then proceeded to kick the fat midget in the mouth, causing blood to spew out of it and several teeth to be knocked out. Gato howled in pain as tears formed in his eyes from the immense pain he was feeling. Gato received one last kick to the head, causing it to spin in an impossible angle, and his body fell into the ocean with a splash, and blood gathered at the surface, causing the water to be dark red. Zabuza grinned but collapsed as he said, "That bastard is dead." Naruto's eyes widened as he closed them and looked to his side. Haku rushed over to Zabuza and looked at his wounds. He had several swords sticking from his back and was soaked with blood. It didn't take a smart person to figure out that the demon of the hidden waves was going to die. Haku. Snow started falling from the sky as Zabuza faced Haku. "You were always by my side, wherever I went. The least I can do is be by your side at the very end of my life." Team 7 gathered behind Zabuza and Haku. Naruto wore a sad look on his face as he sat by Haku. Sakura, who was helping Sasuke walk, also had a sad look on her face. Not up to Naruto's level, but it was still sad. Sasuke showed a bit of sadness, but he was mostly tired, while Kakashi looked up at the sky as the mist began to fade and the snow started to gather. Zabuza looked at Naruto and said, "Hey blonde brat, you've got guts, kid, and I can see you becoming something special. I have something for you. Reach into my shuriken pouch. There's a red scroll, grab it. That is my gift to you." Naruto did what he was told and took the red scroll with a smile on his face. He thanked Zabuza as Zabuza looked at Haku again and continued, "I know it that it cannot be, but I wish that I could have gone to the same place you'll eventually go to." Zabuza raised his hand to Haku's cheek and with his index finger tenderly wiped a tear from Haku's right eye. "The best years of my miserable life were with you. You would sacrifice everything for me, yet I would have thrown you away if it meant ensuring my survival. I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for everything. But also, thank you. Thank you for always being by my side." "Thank you, Haku." Zabuza's hand dropped from Haku's cheek and onto the ground as his eyes closed. Team 7 along with Haku slept at Tazuna and Tsunami's house for the last time. They were getting ready to leave the Wave Village and head back to Konoha. Naruto was asked by Sasuke about the Red Scroll many times, but he never said anything. After asking a couple more times, Sasuke simply stopped asking Naruto any questions. Luckily for Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura didn't see him in his chakra mode. Only Kakashi, Haku, and Zabuza did. Naruto looked up at the roof in the bed Tsunami had ready for him. He sighed as he laid on his stomach with his face buried deep into the pillow. In a second, he found himself in front of the sleeping Kurama. Naruto didn't want to talk with anyone right now, especially Kurama, but he had some questions for him. "Oi Kurama, wake up." The QB opened his right eye and closed it as he spoke up. "What do you want, brat?" Naruto looked at the ground and spoke. "Why can't I use chakra mode anymore? I tried this morning, but I just couldn't access it." The nine-tailed fox sighed a long-lasting sigh. "It seems that you've overused the chakra mode. It's meant to be used 3 times a day at most, yet you've used it at least 10 times during your training session." Naruto grimaced and grit his teeth. He couldn't use his chakra mode, the same mode that saved his friend's life. He felt so strong with it, and now that he's lost it, he feels helpless and weak. "How long do I have to wait before I can access it again?" "Well, I already told you that if you overuse it, you'll die, but it seems that you will no longer die with overuse, simply lose the form itself. As for how long you'll lose it, I don't know." Naruto looked at Kurama with an irritated expression. "Well, you're no help at all." Naruto went back to the real world and sat up from his bed. He got into his ninja outfit and looked out the window. He saw his team, excluding his sensei, waiting for him outside along with Tazuna and his family. Naruto headed down the stairs and found his sensei exiting the door. He followed him and closed the door. Naruto headed to Haku, who sat under the shade of a tree. "Hey Haku-chan, I take it you're not coming with us, huh?" Haku looked up at Naruto with a grin. "Thank you for the offer, but I'm going to travel across the world. I thank you for the last time, Naruto-kun." Haku gave Naruto a small kiss on the cheek, which caused him to blush deeply, and she walked away. Goodbye, Naruto-kun. Naruto smiled as he said, "Goodbye, Haku-chan." Naruto then joined his team, forming a line with Tezuna's family and the whole wave country directly in front of them. Tezuna began talking first. "Thanks to you for we have finally completed the bridge. But do you really have to go so soon?" Tezuna said with a large smile as he placed a hand on a nearly tearing up Inari's head. Unfortunately, Kakashi replied with his book out as usual. "Lord Third will want a report on what happened here as soon as possible." Naruto moved over to Inari. Kneeling down, he ruffled the kid's hair and gave him a large grin. "Don't worry, we'll be back to visit sometime." Inari sniffled as his eyes threatened to spill tears. "Really? Promise?" Grinning a little wider gave Inari a thumbs up. "I promise." Inari started tearing up some more and nearly began crying. "It's okay to cry if you're happy, you know," Naruto commented as he noticed the kid looked ready to burst out into tears. Inari tackled Naruto and hugged him as he started crying. Naruto laughed, and after a good 20 seconds, Inari got off of him. Standing back up again, Naruto gave them one final grin. "Well, see you later, guys. Be sure to look after this place." "Then I guess this is goodbye," Kakashi said as he and the other ninja turned around. "See you later, Inari," Naruto said as he waved over his shoulder. "That boy," Tezuna said as he looked at the retreating figure of Naruto. "That boy changed Inari's heart, and Inari changed our people's hearts, allowing us to build a bridge called Hope for our dying country." "Oh yeah, speaking of the bridge," one of the people there said, "what should we call it?" "How about the Great Naruto Bridge? It does have a nice ring to it, doesn't it?" "That does sound like a fitting name, Father," Tsunami said as she giggled. "Yep, I have a feeling that name is going to bring this bridge good luck," Tezuna stated as people began to cheer for the new bridge and the genin who made it all possible. Who knows, it may even bring other people good luck. Team 7 was in the Hokage mansion, reporting back to the third Hokage, Sarutobi. "What? You're saying that this mission wasn't in fact C rank, but was B rank? I can't believe you encountered Zabuza of the Hidden Wave. Strong fellow, isn't he?" Kakashi had the same lazy expression as usual. He nodded as he sighed. The third Hokage spoke up. "Kakashi, I need you to stay here. The rest of you are dismissed." Sasuke and Sakura exited the room, and Naruto followed, but when he held the door so he could exit, his sensei spoke up. "Wait, Naruto, we need to talk." Sarutobi raised an eyebrow as Naruto pursed his lips and turned around. He closed the door ever so slowly, sighing as he walked until he was next to his sensei. "So, what is it that you want to talk about?" asked the professor as he tilted his head by about 2 degrees. Kakashi was going to speak, but Naruto beat him to it. "I talked with Kurama, and I received something called chakra mode." The third Hokage was now even more confused, but at the same time curious. Who was this Kurama person? And what is chakra mode? Naruto spoke up again. "Kurama is the Kyuubi's name. I talked to him and convinced him to give me his chakra. I gained this thing called Kyuubi Chakura Moto, which makes me much stronger than what I normally am. I trained and I began to understand Kurama's awesome power. In this mode, I have the strength to destroy solid cement, huge boulders, huge walls, huge trees, and any type of metal with relative ease. I'm also really fast. Fast enough to run around the whole village in less than a minute, and I won't even sweat. I have really good durability as well. I can withstand extreme heat and possibly even extreme cold. I can take anything that I can dish out. And by that I mean I can take a hit that demolishes walls and just shrug it off." Kakashi nodded, confirming everything that Naruto had just said. Sarutobi soaked in everything he heard and was in deep thought. He managed to control a mighty-tailed beast. A 13-year-old kid managed to control the Kyuubi. How? That's completely unheard of. "Naruto, Kakashi, this is going to be a long day." Naruto entered his apartment home and slammed his face against his pillow. The third Hokage had kept him and Kakashi at his office till it was nighttime. He basically told him that no one should ever know about his chakra mode until he was strong enough to defend himself against anyone who he faces over and over again. He then told him about a certain shinobi named Danzo who always wanted to control him, and now that he's got a hold of the 9-tailed chakra mode, he would want to capture him against all odds. Naruto didn't bother to take off his clothes or even his shinobi sandals. He just went to sleep. Naruto woke up the next morning and did his usual morning routine. He left the house and made about 100 shadow clones for training. He divided them into 4 groups of 25. The first group would work on ninjutsu. The second group would work on taijutsu, while the third group would work on calligraphy. Naruto made the fourth group work on fuinjutsu. He grinned as he went over to his favorite ramen shop, Ichiraku Ramen. "Hey Tucci-san, how about 4 bowls of ramen for your #1 customer?" Tucci grinned and said, "Coming right up." Naruto whistled and looked around the ramen shop as he waited. When his order arrived, he grinned and took 2 chopsticks out, separating them both, and he began to slurp down his ramen. "So Naruto, where have you been this past week or so? You better not be eating ramen from another shop." "What? No way. I've just had a mission to do, a long mission actually." Naruto finished his 3rd bowl of ramen as a pair of arms wrapped around him, and he felt someone's chin on his head. "It's probably Anko." Naruto turned around and saw the snake's former apprentice. "Hey Anko-ne-chan." Anko sat down next to Naruto with a grin. "So how's my favorite gaki been?" Naruto slurped up his final bowl before answering. "Well, I was just on this mission to the land of waves when..." After Naruto told Anko about his mission, he went to bed. He, along with his team, kept going on missions for about 2 weeks. All of them were boring. They were all D ranks except for 3, which were C rank. Team 7 went on missions to clean ponds, rivers, and backyards. They would remove shrubs from gardens and water plants. They would walk dogs around the village and return them to their owners. They were all tired of it, to say the very least. "Okay, I think that's enough for today," Kakashi said, getting the attention of his 3 genin. "I have to go submit this mission report. See ya." The gray-haired jonin disappeared in a puff of smoke. Naruto watched as Kakashi disappeared within a shunshin. Turning around, he saw that Sasuke had already left, and Sakura was walking away with a depressed look on her face. Time for some more training. Naruto was just about to start walking when he heard a noise. Turning around, he saw a square box behind him with a rock texture painted on it. It also had 2 eye holes in the front. Already knowing who was under that box, Naruto just sighed and began to walk away. Hearing the box follow him, he turned around completely and faced the box. "You know, if you keep using these lame disguises, you'll never be able to get me by surprise." "Huh, I'm not surprised you saw through our disguise, boss," said Konohamaru. The box exploded and smoke filled the area. Naruto had to move away so he wouldn't get caught in the smoke. "I think we used too much gunpowder," said someone in between coughs. "So what do you guys want?" The 3 kids looked up at him as their eyes widened as if they forgot to do something important, but then they began to introduce themselves. "Hey, I'm Moegi, and I'm the sassiest kunoichi in school," the girl with the orange pigtails said as she made an odd pose, standing on one leg and raising a single hand in the air. "And I like algebra, I'm Udon," said the boy with the bowl cut, glasses, and runny nose. He too took a pose beside Moegi, crouching down low and crossing his arms. "And I'm the strongest ninja in the village, Konohamaru said as he made a pose in front of them. "And together we're the Konohamaru Ninja Corps," the 3 said all together. "Okay." Naruto crossed his arms as he looked at the trio. "So what do you want?" "We came here to play ninja," said Konohamaru. Seeing that he didn't play with them, they started pleading him. "Come on, please play ninja with us," the 3 said in unison. "Ugh, a ninja playing ninja." The group turned to see an utterly depressed-looking Sakura walking towards them. "That's so stupid." "Hey boss, who is this?" asked Konohamaru as he looked at the girl. "Oh, I know. Hey boss, is she your..." He held up his pinky and wiggled it. Several tick marks appeared on Sakura's head. Naruto shook his head. "No, Konohamaru, she isn't." "Well, that's good, boss, because you can seriously do better than this girl." Konohamaru looked up at her forehead. "I mean, just look at her. That forehead is huge." Naruto looked at Sakura nervously as he saw her now murderous expression. "Hey Konohamaru, I suggest you start running." "Why?" asked Konohamaru. Naruto pointed over to Sakura, who was currently stomping over to them and cracking her knuckles. "That's why." Konohamaru gulped as he saw the expression on Sakura's face as she cracked her knuckles. "Boss, she's right behind us. What should we do?" Naruto looked behind and saw Sakura running at them faster than what Naruto thought possible for her. Naruto looked back with a smile on his face. "Just run faster." Konohamaru ran faster, but he smashed into someone and fell down to the ground. "Ow!" Konohamaru rubbed his forehead. After a couple of seconds, he looked up to see what he had run into. It was a guy wearing a black jumpsuit with a pair of cat ears on his head and some kind of odd makeup on his face with an odd oblong-shaped thing on his back, wrapped in bandages. Next to him stood a girl with sandy blonde hair done up and 4 pigtails. She was wearing a black and white battle kimono with some mesh leggings on her left ankle, while the other was higher up on her thigh. She had her headband hanging loosely on her neck and a red sash wrapped around her waist. There was also a large battle fan attached to her back. Naruto arrived and stood a ways behind them. He began examining them with narrowed eyes. He noticed that the headbands they were wearing was the symbol for Sunagakure, the village hidden in the sand. "That hurt, you little punk," the shinobi with the cat-like ears said. He picked up Konohamaru by his scarf. "I think I need to teach you a lesson about watching where you're going." The girl walked up behind him and shook her head in annoyance. "Kankuro, drop him. You know we're going to get in trouble if Gaara shows up." "Relax, Temari. He won't show up. Besides, this kid needs to learn not to disrespect anyone who's better than him." "Put me down, you stupid makeup freak," Konohamaru yelled. "If you don't put me down, Naruto's gonna kick your ass." "It's war paint, you little brat. I'll teach you not to mess with me." He was just about to hit Konohamaru when Naruto spoke up. "Put Konohamaru down if you know what's good for you." They turned to see Naruto standing behind them with a grin on his face that said, "Bring it on." Temari blushed as she looked at the ground. "What a cutie." Kankuro looked at him with narrowed eyes. "Oh yeah? What are you going to do about it?" Naruto grinned widely, and suddenly, 2 stones hit both of Kankuro's arms, and he was forced to let go of Konohamaru. In the trees were 2 Naruto clones grinning widely as they dispelled. Naruto bolted forward and grabbed Konohamaru. He then bolted backwards, skidding across the ground. Kankuro grit his teeth as reached back to his mummies. "You're going to use Karasa here?" "Why?" asked Temari in surprise. "This blonde brat needs to be taught a lesson," Kankuro replied as he began to remove the bandages. Before he could get too far, a rock hit him in the hand, making him drop the large mummy and yell out in shock and a bit of pain. He looked at a tree and saw Sasuke sitting down and juggling a rock in his hand. "Great, another brat." Temari blushed again as she looked between Sasuke and Naruto. "Wow, this village is full of cuties." "Kankuro, stop." Everyone stiffened in surprise and turned their heads to see a boy with red hair and the kanji for love on his forehead. He was wearing a black short-sleeve shirt with a fishnet undershirt underneath that, along with matching black pants and sandals. Across his waist was a white sash and a brown leather belt, and another sash going across his chest that held a large gourd to his back. "Gaara." Kankuro began to shake in fear. Temari did too. "I didn't even notice him." "How?" Naruto and Sasuke were sharing similar thoughts. "Kankuro, you're an embarrassment to our village. Have you forgotten why we came here?" "Well, they started it, so I dash." "Shut up, or I'll kill you." "Yeah, I'm sorry." Naruto, Sasuke, and Konohamaru were joined by Moegi, Udon, and Sakura, who stared at Gaara in surprise and a bit of fear. Naruto shook his head and grinned. Things just got a lot more interesting here. Chapter 8. Kankuro, Temari, were leaving. Gaara shunshined from the tree to the ground and in between Temari and Kankuro, and they began to walk away. As the 3 ninja left, Sakura decided to try to make herself look smart. "Hold on a second." The 3 Suna ninja turned around to look at her. "While it's true that our villages are allies, it's illegal for you to be in our nation without permission. So I have to ask, what are you doing in our village? State your reason, and it better be good." It was Temari who replied to Sakura. "Have you been hiding under a rock or something? Are you really that clueless?" "We have permission." Temari lifted a passport and showed it to Sakura. "We're here for the Chunin exams." "We've wasted enough time talking. Let's go," Gaara said, getting annoyed by all the conversation. "Hold on. What's your name?" Sasuke asked the retreating figure. Me?" asked Temari with a light blush. "Not you, the one with the gourd on his back." Temari looked disappointed as she turned to face Gaara. "My name is Sabaka no Gaara. I'm curious about you too, and the blonde as well. Who are you?" Sasuke smirked, which then turned into a frown as he realized that Gaara was also curious about his teammate. "It's Sasuke Uchiha." Gaara nodded slowly as he turned to face Naruto. Naruto grinned and said, "The name's Naruto Uzumaki." Gaara turned around, and the 3 siblings shunshined away. Sakura got a small tick mark on her forehead. How rude. They went away without even saying goodbye. The members of Team 7 were supposed to meet at the main bridge in Konoha. Sasuke and Sakura were already there while Naruto and Kakashi were nowhere to be seen. Sakura grunted in annoyance as she waited for her teammate and sensei. She looked over her shoulders at the sound of footsteps heading towards them. Naruto was walking with a lazy look on his face with his hands in his pockets. He looked between Sakura and Sasuke as if he was confused. Guess I'm early. Sakura's right eye twitched, and she opened her mouth to yell when a puff of smoke signaled the arrival of their sensei. Yo, you're late, Sakura shouted as she pointed at her sensei. Sorry, I had to help an old lady cross the street. Kakashi held out 3 papers before Sakura could yell again. Anyway, these are for you 3. Naruto took one of the papers and raised an eyebrow, but then grinned excitedly. You nominated us for the Chunin exams? Yep. Kakashi nodded his head. I figured you guys are ready for the challenge. Those of you who wish to take it should sign those papers and turn them in at room 301 at the academy tomorrow by 4 p.m. Kakashi disappeared in a puff of smoke. As Naruto looked at the approval sheet for the Chunin exams, he could not help but grin and smile as he fist bumped the air. This is gonna be awesome. I can't wait to show everyone how good I've gotten. Sasuke smirked as he gripped the sheet of paper that he was holding. I'm one step closer to killing him. Sakura looked between the two before looking at the ground in worry. She wasn't as sure as her 2 teammates about entering the Chunin exams. She wasn't sure at all. Naruto reached the academy, and he found his 2 teammates already there, sitting outside of the entrance and obviously waiting for him. Why are you late? Sakura asked in a loud voice. Naruto just shrugged with his hand in his pockets. He wasn't really late. His teammates just arrived before him. Naruto walked inside and began walking up the stairs. After a minute or two, his teammates began to follow him, making their way towards the door he had left through. Naruto reached the next floor. It was to find a dozen genin standing around the designated door, with 2 other genin blocking said door and beating anyone who tried to get past them. Now that's odd. I could have sworn I had only gone up 1 flight of stairs. So then how come that door says 301? Naruto realized the truth with narrowed eyes. Jinjutsu, huh? With that sorted out in his mind, the blonde began to walk on, ignoring the conversation that was going on at the door. Come on, let us through, one of the genin in the hallway yelled. You think we're going to let you through just because you tell us to? People die in these exams, and those who don't sometimes quit being a shinobi altogether simply because of the mental and emotional trauma they go through. Really, we're doing you guys a favor. Please let us through. Naruto noticed that there was a brown-haired girl with her hair tied into a bun pleading the genin to let her through. Oi, drop the jinjutsu and let us pass. Naruto turned around to see Sasuke standing there with a smirk on his face as he looked at the 2 genin. Sakura probably noticed it the moment we got here. Isn't that right, Sakura? Sakura didn't notice at all, but just agreed with her crush, trying to make herself look good. Yeah, that's right. We're only on the 2nd floor. It's so obvious even a child could see through it. So you noticed it, huh? One of the genin smirked as the jinjutsu on the door was dispelled, revealing it to be the 2nd floor. Impressive. But just because you saw through it doesn't mean you good enough to enter. He launched a kick at Sasuke, who retaliated with a kick from his own leg. However, both kicks were caught by a green blur, who managed to catch both their legs with just 1 hand each. Now is not the time to be fighting. The green-wearing genin with the bowl haircut released their legs. That guy caught both our legs like it was nothing. Lee, what happened to disguising our strength? I thought that was your idea. A genin with white eyes and long hair that was tied into a ponytail looked at his teammate. Yes, but... Lee turned to face Sakura. You are Sakura-san, right? Asked Lee. Yeah. I am Rock Lee. Let's go out sometime. I will protect you with my life. No. Why not? Because you're weird. Lee's shoulders slumped at the comment. The genin with white eyes looked at Sasuke. You, what's your name? HN, Sasuke smirked. It's common courtesy to state your name first before asking about someone else's. The young genin scowled. The name's Niji Hyuga. Sasuke smirked again. Sasuke Uchiha. Sakura got irritated and wanted to leave, so of course, because it made perfect sense, she grabbed Naruto by his shirt and dragged him away. Come on, Naruto Baka. Let's go, or we're gonna be late. Hey, you could just say that nicely, you know. Naruto ripped Sakura's hand off of his clothes. Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura walked towards the set of stairs that were in front of them. However, as they moved, they saw Rock Lee standing on the next floor with a serious expression on his face instead of the "I got turned down by my love" attitude. "You, the one with the black eyes and bad attitude, I wish to challenge you." Lee jumped off the stairs and landed in front of them. "My name is Rock Lee. You said it was common courtesy to give your name before asking for someone else's. Am I right?" Sasuke smirked as he looked at the kid. Sasuke Uchiha. "So it is true. You are this year's Rookie of the Year that everyone has been talking about. It would be an honor to fight you." "HN, you know my name, and yet you challenge me? You must be dumber than I thought." "That ego, Sasuke. Geez, there is no need for it." Naruto sighed at how large Sasuke's head had been getting since he unlocked his clan's dojutsu, the Sharingan. "I have a feeling that this guy's seriously strong." Naruto sighed again as he looked to Sakura and whispered, "I'll be upstairs at room 301. As Naruto reached room 301, it was to find Kakashi standing outside the doorway, reading his book. "Hey sensei, what are you doing here?" Naruto asked. "Oh, I'm just here to wish you luck." He blinked for a moment as he noticed something, or rather someone's were missing. "Naruto, where are Sasuke and Sakura?" Naruto turned his head downstairs as he crossed his arms. "I think they should be coming up now." As if on cue, Sasuke and Sakura came up with a bruised and battered Sasuke. "Well, I'm glad to see you three came. Had one of you not made it, I would have had to disqualify all of you." Naruto tilted his head in confusion. "Why? I thought the Chunin exams were optional." "They are, but they also have to be taken as a team," Kakashi shrugged. "So then why didn't you tell us that?" asked Naruto, a little annoyed that his sensei would leave out something so important. "I didn't tell you and Sasuke that because I knew either one or both of you would have talked Sakura into these exams." Naruto agreed with his sensei as he looked at Sakura, who had a sad smile on her face, and looked back at his sensei. "You do have a point. Oh well, none of that matters now. You're all here, and all for the right reasons." Kakashi gave them his famous eye smile. "I know I don't say this too much, but I'm proud of you three." Naruto grinned. Sakura had her small, sad smile, while Sasuke was smirking. The three Genin stepped past their sensei and opened the doors where the Chunin exams would start. The very moment Team 7 had entered the room, every single Genin began glaring at them. Many of the Genin teams, who were older than them by several years, began leaking killing intent at the trio. Sakura paled and began to shake, having not had much experience with killing intent other than Zabuza. Sasuke looked a bit nervous, but soon regained his coolness. Naruto, however, had a much different reaction. He didn't care about all the glares that he was getting. He looked at them and leaked a bit of killer intent, which he learned to do from Anko. Some of them backed off, but the others stood their ground. He grinned when several Genin began to look away. Just as the trio were about to find a place to sit, a loud squeal erupted behind them. "Sasuke-kun, I missed you so much." Ino jumped on top of Sasuke, wrapping her arms around his neck. "Did you miss me too?" Several tick marks appeared on Sakura's forehead. "Get the hell off him, Ino pig." Ino looked over at Sakura and pulled her eyelid down while sticking her tongue out. "Why would I do that, forehead? After all, Sasuke-kun and I have a lot of catching up to do." "Man, you guys are here too. So troublesome." Naruto turned around and saw Shikamaru and Choji. Shikamaru had a lazy look on his face and was scratching his ear with his pinky while Choji was eating his favorite barbecue-flavored chips. "Yahoo, we found you guys." Turning again, everyone saw Kiba, Shino with Hinata staring at Naruto as she hid behind Shino. Kiba walked up to the group with a large, cocky grin. "I hope you guys are ready to lose to my team. I was wondering when you'd show up. I thought you chickened out." Naruto only intended it towards Kiba, not his teammates. Kiba stopped and growled at Naruto. "What was that? Do you want me to kick you so hard that you'll cry till you reach home? Just try. I'll take you down faster than you can say I should have never messed with the future Hokage." Kiba began to growl at the blonde and looked like he might actually attack him. But before he could, a new voice entered the conversation. "You know, you guys should really keep it down." The three new Genin teams, or Rookie 9, looked over to see one of the older kids walking up to them. He was wearing a purple shirt and pants of the same color. He had round glasses on and white hair with a Konoha headband strapped to his head. He pushed back his glasses with a small smirk. "You guys are the rookies who just came out of the academy, right? I wouldn't be so loud if I were you." And just who the hell are you? Asked Kiba with a growl, still upset that the dead last had pawned him. The Jinin just smiled as if not bothered by the rude remark. My name's Kabuto, and before you get angry at me, you should look behind you. Everyone did and was instantly subject to the glares and the wave of killing intent sent to them, particularly the Jinin from Amage Cure, village hidden in the rain. That team from AIM, I hear they have rather short tempers. Kabuto muttered to them. Naruto just smirked and did the same thing he did when he met Kankuro. Listen up, you losers. I'll beat each and every one of you to the ground. Anyone that dares to attack me and my team can go ahead and do it, but I can promise you that it won't end well for you. That statement was met with many different reactions from the ninja in the room. It's that damn kid again. That punk's gonna get himself killed. Kankuro looked at the blonde. Temari looked over at Naruto with a smirk. I don't know. I think he makes things kind of interesting. Maybe I should see if he wants to go on a date after this. Gaara stared at Naruto with an impassive gaze. He felt a connection with the blonde that he couldn't quite put his finger on. He didn't like it one bit. Two of the ninja from Kyumo looked over at the odd blonde kid who was yelling before turning their attention back to their conversation. The other Kyumo ninja, a blonde-haired kunoichi, also stared curiously at the blonde for a few seconds before dismissing him. You know, sometimes you're more troublesome than Ino, Shikamaru muttered. What was that, Shikamaru? Ino glared at him. Your name is Kabuto-san, right? Asked Sakura. Kabuto pushed his glasses up again, something Naruto was beginning to think was a habit for the other Jinin. Yeah, that's right. So, is this your second time taking these exams? Sakura asked him. No, this is my seventh, I think, Kabuto replied, an embarrassed but fake blush on his face. Seventh? How? These exams can't be that hard, or maybe you're just really, really weak. Oh well, I'm quite experienced. So since you guys are new and all, why don't I give you a hand? He kneeled down on the ground and began channeling chakra into the top card. There was a small burst of smoke as he flipped it over. The rookie Jinin leaned in to see that it showed a map of the elemental nations. On each nation was a bar with a number. These are my info cards. Look here. As you can see, Konoha has the most teams participating. Of course, that's a given since we're on home turf. But just about every shinobi village has brought Jinin here to participate. We've even got a team from Kyumo this year, a rarity considering we're not on good terms with them. Do your cards hold individual information? Asked Sasuke. Kabuto smirked. Of course, all I need is a name, or even initials, and I can find them for you. Give me everything you have on Rock Lee of Konoha and Sabaku no Gaara of Suna. Kabuto nodded as he held up two cards. One of them went up in smoke to reveal Rock Lee's card. Let's see. Rock Lee has 246 D-rank missions and 22 C-rank missions. His teammates are Tintin Higurashi and Niji Hyuga, last year's Rookie of the Year. Says here that in the academy he had no skills to speak of, but in the last year his taijutsu made a phenomenal jump. Last year he could have entered the Chunin exams, but his sensei held the team back a year to gain more experience. Next we have Sabaku no Gaara. It says here he's done 8 C-rank missions, 27 B-rank missions, and get this, 1 A-rank mission. His teammates are Sabaku no Temari and Sabaku no Kinkuru, his older siblings. Apparently, they're the children of the Kazekage. Also, this is just a rumor, but apparently he's come out of every single mission without even getting a scratch. Naruto eyed the red-haired Jinin curiously. So he's really strong. I'd love to fight him. So as you can see, there's a big turnout this year. All of these teams are the cream of the crop, the best of their villages. Kabuto paused for a moment before adding, well, I'm not sure about Odo. Since they just started up last year, they're pretty small time and only managed to send one team. You hear that? Let's be dash. All right, that's enough. Quiet down, you little bastards. A gruff voice spoke up. There was a puff of smoke erupted at the front of the room. When it cleared, it revealed a tall, scarred man in a black trench coat and blue proctor's uniform, along with a dozen Chunin in similar outfits minus the trench coat. I'm Marino Ibiki, the proctor for this exam. So long as I'm here, there will be no fighting. Do I make myself clear? The man asked, glaring at the Odo Jinin who he knew would start a fight. The first exam is going to be a written one.